What's up, peoples? What's up, peoples? What's up, peoples? I am here again with your boy Neff for XBR Podcast. Today, we are going to talk about the XCloud that was recently announced. We're also going to talk about the possible purchase of Obsidian by Xbox, and we got a whole gang of other Xbox news, including some stuff about Crackdown 3. Oh, man. But before we get too deep into that, I would like to introduce my illustrious co-host, the one, the only, Mythos. What's up, bro? What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Just fresh out of work. Can't wait to get in this podcast. Talk about the future of gaming. Yes, streaming is going to be the future where the industry is heading. It's a fact. And we're going to talk about that potential rumor of a tablet coming from the company who everyone says only runs to their own tune. Or do they? Let's dive in.
Exactly. Let's dive into that stuff today. But before we get too deep into that, I'm going to tweet this out to a bunch of people, get a bunch of folks, get them out of their comfort zone and get them listening to the podcast. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I say get them out of their comfort zone, Nethos, is because there's a lot of people out there. They just love the shit on Xbox, man. They just love to just whiz all over it, man. But you know what? Xbox, I think, has set a precedence for themselves as far as, and we got a special guest today coming. You know what I'm saying? He's still on his way. But this special guest told us to, a lot of us laughed at him. We huckled at him, that Microsoft doesn't really even see Sony as a competitor. Tried to tell us. And by the moves, if everything is true that they're making, I think that's right, because some of the steps and moves that Microsoft has made, a lot of other people are under the same belief that Sony's not set up as well to do some of these same big moves yet. You know what I'm saying? But then we can discuss that a little bit. I know this is an Xbox podcast, but we can talk a little bit about that just to make comparisons of what's being rumored about Sony. You know what I'm saying? But what are your thoughts on that, Nethos?
What we've been saying for the longest time, what the special guest has been saying for the longest time, Sony are fantastic at the traditional market. They're fantastic with their traditional consoles. There's no denying that. However, I feel that Sony kind of stumbled when they tried future-proofing their stuff, i.e. PlayStation Now and so on, and they just weren't quite prepared to do that stuff like Microsoft is, because at the end of the day, no matter what you say, Sony could have been the first there with the cloud streaming and all that. That's fair enough. They were there for the cloud streaming, and they were the first there. However, Sony is simply not set up like the way Microsoft is, like the way Google is, like the way Amazon is with their servers. At the end of the day, they're still using those old-ass PS3s to run their servers, where Microsoft has full-blown servers with Azure that is the second best in the world. And it's going to take a hell of a lot of time to catch up, at least meaningfully. And
I know your boy MM2K. Can you hear me clear, Nethos?
Yep.
Okay, I just want to make sure that, because I gotta humble myself sometimes. Sometimes I get past myself, I get in my bag, as Z says, you know what I mean? And I don't have my Geritol in the morning, and sometimes my diaper just doesn't feel right because I'm an old cranky man, all right? I host a show called Scram Punks, all right? With that being said, I've said some things, Nethos. I've said some things like, Azure is only good for the Microsoft toilets. You know how they had the wireless toilets and stuff like that they were. I know, and I knew better, because I knew in the back of my mind that they were rolling that out just to get ahs and oohs. But they're not. Microsoft is not in the IKEA business. They're in the software business and the technology business. So if they can make this work for bathrooms, they sure as hell was going to make this work for the software and services that they pump out to the masses. You know what I'm saying? If anybody's in the chat listening or whatever, you know what I'm saying, let us know if you can hear everything good. And also, if you could do us a super huge favor, hit that like button. You know what I'm saying? All right. So before we get too deep into these subjects, and while we our illustrious guest is here, what is up, brother? Post up. He's still getting his mic together. Okay. While Post Up is still getting his mic together, Nethos, can you talk about your gaming week as I tweet this out to everybody? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, my gaming week. I just bought that Black Ops 4. Well, actually, I didn't buy it. My friend bought it because I'm a scumbag who used Game Share. But yeah, I've been playing a little bit of that Black Ops. I played some of the multiplayer. I did not get to try out Blackout yet, but I'll try that tonight. And you know, I've been playing the phenomenal game called Forza Horizon 4, and even if you're not into a racing game, Game Pass is a win, and you gotta just try the game out, because I'm telling you, even for racing fans, they're gonna enjoy this game.
Wow. Yeah, I gotta pick up the pace, and I really gotta start playing Forza. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a big racing guy, Nethos, but I can a good game is a good game, period.
It is. That's exactly what it is.
Me and you were talking like in the DMs a while ago. I'm not a big boxing game person, you know what I'm saying? But Fight Night Round 2 and Round 3 made me a boxing game fan, you know what I'm saying? So if a game is good enough, it'll pull you into that genre. But before we get too deep into my mumbo jumbo, I want to introduce our illustrious guest for tonight. I think he got his mic together. You good? You good, brother? Post up, brother. Post up.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. What's good, peoples?
Hey, man. Appreciate you coming through, man. Hopefully everything's good with Z. We ain't heard from Z, but hopefully everything's cool. But
Thanks
I appreciate
for having me, man.
Oh, no problem. Hey, look.
Let's talk about it. Let's go.
And he will be, because you predicted quite a bit post up, and you were made fun of. So today, when I can make fun of your beliefs on the flat Earth, we're gonna actually celebrate your predictions that seem to be coming true.
Hey, yo, Post Up is walking around like a peacock with the feathers out, man. He just, remember a year ago, Nethos? Now you hold on to this, y'all, because I done told y'all. now I'm coming to fruition. You know what I'm saying? You get to thumb your nose at everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, especially in the multiplayer podcast, they had to be quiet.
Yeah, man. You know, it's crazy. Even Baron kind of, he didn't really fight it. You know,
look, he used the loopholes. That was Capcom and shit.
Yeah, the only thing he said, well, it's not Nintendo doing it, but it's just they're allowing other people to do it. But it don't matter how it's being done; it's being implemented. And I'm telling you, if Amazon is getting in the game, if Google is getting in the game, and Microsoft is there, then this is something that's going to be valuable for the future. Everybody, look, across all industry, everything and everybody is going cloud. Whether the technology has been in its infancy or not, that's not to be debated. But across from music to books to movies to tech, everybody is investing in cloud and going big with the cloud right now. So it was inevitable for gaming to do it as well. And I think the one thing that put Microsoft in the driver's seat, they saw this decades ago. And that's why when they invested that $2 billion in Xbox Live to get it started, they started creating data centers back then. And I think that's where Sony missed the boat. They lost the cloud war decades ago because they left their gaming facilities in terms of online gaming up to the developers. Even their own first-party developers had to create their own online network for their games. And if Sony would have started investing in data centers back then, I think they'll be in a better position now, because now you have to either run to the competition now, either Amazon or Google.
Absolutely, because don't they right now for the stuff that they do? It's with their streaming service through PSN Now, whatever it's called.
Yeah, they brought Geica.
Yeah, but don't they license it out to a third party to handle all their shit?
You know what? I don't know. I think the people that work at Geica pretty much facilitate the PS Now. Okay. I don't know if they facilitate the whole PSN thing. Okay. But you're going up against corporations that spread it across the damn map. You know, that got and it's still building data centers. Absolutely. And whether people it wasn't Aaron Greenberg. It was the other guy who used to work with Microsoft. He made a valid point. A lot of times when we're on the multiplayer podcast, we're having members give their opinion or their assertion on something based on them.
Yeah. Yep.
But I cannot, when I think about cloud, though, I'm not just thinking about me, because whether I like it or not,
absolutely,
there'll be a million other people's out there that's going to be with it.
Absolutely.
And to say that it's not going to succeed or to downplay it is crazy, because it's billions of people in this world. Everybody don't have the same opinion towards something that I do. So I have to give it some type of success because I know that whether it's a lot of people or some it's going to be useful to somebody.
Nethos and PostUp. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Because what PostUp said is very true. Like, not to pick on our homie J Dubs, that's our homie. He's jackass #1. But with that being said, he said, I remember, and when y'all did that podcast with him and Z, he was saying, well, you know what? I'm not going to like this. I'm not going to like this. But I think a mistake is being made where we, as the older gamers, don't see how this is geared for the younger gamers. Like younger gamers, like my son who's 12, they don't give a shit about an Xbox or a PlayStation. They don't fall into that fanboy stuff. They just want to go where all their friends are at. So if all their friends end up being on a Surface Pro notebook, that's where they're going to go. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the way I see it. But do you think that's legitimate foresight that they're not really into the console wars like how the older gaming brethren might be? You know what I'm saying?
I do think that's foresight. At the end of the day, Microsoft came to this business, and we can always agree to this, whether it's good or not. Microsoft always looks way far ahead into the future. Sometimes that kills them when they did their TV shit with the Xbox One, but now you see PlayStation with their PlayStation View and all that. But at the end of the day, Microsoft always saw this coming, and they know, like, I'll give Kratos some credit, even though he's being a piece of shit with it. He says Microsoft can't see a way of beating out Sony and all that. And you know what? That's half true. Microsoft probably could beat out Sony, but why go through all that effort if you can just do it this way? Because there's no beating all the phones and tablets out there. There's no beating any of that. That's the end game.
I mean, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Okay. Hey, Paul, so I'm going to let you go wild here in a second, but here's the thing. We keep talking about the cloud, how it's the future, and we all over here on board. We understand how this is going to work to a degree. But PostUp and MM2K, because you probably understand this too, can you explain to the audience why the cloud is the future, why streaming might be the future, why this is a big deal, and especially when Google and Amazon get on board? Because I think at the end of the day, people who are opposed to this stuff just don't understand it. They don't see the benefit. They don't understand why it's a big deal that Google and Amazon are suddenly here. Can you explain how this benefits you as a gamer?
I'm gonna let PostUp tackle that first, because I was gonna ask him something very similar. I was gonna ask him not only why is this the future, but how could he, like Microsoft, foresee today what's happening today? What did you see? Well, you know, first, Nethel's question: how is this the future? And two, way back when you kept telling everybody this is coming, what did you see, like Microsoft saw, that foresaw where we're at today?
Well, I'm an 80s baby. I grew up in the 90s. I was there when computers first started to infiltrate people's homes. I was there when internet started infiltrating people's homes, and that's back when I was taking classic basic computer operations, Cisco networking, and all that stuff. And when I got an opportunity to get access and be taught that information, from my perspective, I saw technology as a whole, as a future. And at that time, a lot of my friends and the people was around me was laughing at me, similar to how people did on the panel. They was laughing at me. But them same friends I go back to now be like, hey, I wish I was excited and as focused as you were back then. Because you saw something that we didn't see.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And when you in the IT field, you kind of get an understanding of where technology is going for everybody.
Yep.
Because sometimes, often than not, wherever is access in IT field, it's at some point going to trickle down to commercial use for the public. When Microsoft, what got me was when they made those data centers. Back then, I think they was on 3 different continents as far as the Xbox Live data center. That was it right there. Okay. That showed to me that this was not just going to be something that it was something that they put thought into, and that they knew at some point in the future was going to be needed. Because if you look at them compared to Sony or Nintendo, who with lack thereof in terms of data center, and you see what industry going now, you look like, man, Microsoft kind of, you know, they were smart with this.
Yep.
They knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, Xbox Live is, and now that you add Xbox Live across all your Azure data centers.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But I mean, hardware over time, companies really don't make that much money off hardware.
Absolutely.
And the times is changing now, in terms of the youth that's growing up. We have more youth that's deep into the social networking and stuff that's going on. Everybody has an iPhone or Android phone now. So, I mean, the audience is not what it was back then. You know what I'm saying? So you have to expand when you got hundreds, 300, 400, 500 million, maybe 1 billion people on phone playing Candy Crush and playing these little small games. Then you want access to those people too, and the only way to get access to them is to make the games accessible to the devices that they're accustomed to playing on. Yeah. I know we kind of shun mobile a lot, but it's people. I mean, I've spoken to a lot of customers that, like I said before, that is invested in one mobile game like Spades. I know a lot of old people that I talk to, they play games like Spade and poker and things like that. And I've talked to some customers that's $2,000-$3,000 invested in those games.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So if you got people spending that much money on mobile, and the only way you can try to get access to that crowd or that community is to make your games accessible to those that only play on those devices. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong. It's nothing wrong with that.
My take on that as well, just to add to that, and I think that was very important for Brother Postup to share his background. You know what I'm saying? To where, because I think that did lay a foundation for you to understand how we were going to get here. You foresaw this. You know
I knew when I was getting my A+ certification that I will always have a job, mm-hmm. because computers will always need to be fixed, mm-hmm. or even built. But that was the understanding that I had, that I will always have a job, knowing this stuff, because it was the future.
Let me answer a couple questions in the chat real quick. Big ups to everybody out there that is joining us. Neverland, D Almighty, Imagine God, Goku. He said, "What's up, Postup?" Give a shout out to Postup. Homie Clement Albert says, "Kids play Call of Duty, GTA, and FIFA all day on console." Yeah, that's true, because they have nowhere else to play it now. Mm-hmm. But for instance, my son, my 12-year-old son, all right, and these kids are so technically astute, more than we are in a lot of ways at their age. It's unbelievable. So I'm coming down the steps one day. No, matter of fact, this past weekend, I'm coming down the steps. He's on the phone talking to somebody. "Hey, you trying to play Fortnite? You know, if you play it here, it'll be 60 frames per second and such and such." And and I'm like, "Dude, get off the phone with one of your friends." Wow. I said, "We got to go somewhere." He's like, "Dad, shut up. I'm trying to get this girl's phone number." I said, I said, "She knows what that is." He's like, "Yeah, Dad, shut up." I was like, "Okay, I got you. Go ahead, man. Go do your thing."
I had in Bang Bang, there was some adult gamers in Bang Bang that played PUBG or that played PUBG on the console, mm-hmm. and couldn't get a chicken dinner. Mm-hmm. When they were released on mobile,
bro,
racking up on chicken dinners. Exactly. Next thing you know, they playing PUBG on mobile, even though they got it on the console, because it's easier to get chicken dinners on mobile than it is
because of them bots. Yeah. But, I'm gonna rephrase my. Oh shit! Hello.
Yep.
I'll be right back.
I'm gonna rephrase my question that I asked earlier. So
I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm going to take what Kratos said, and I'm probably going to go ahead and answer it too. So Kratos asked on that podcast you brought up earlier, what problem is this whole streaming thing solving? What problem is this whole mobile thing solving?
Go ahead, try that.
Yeah. So this is what's going to really happen. Postup said we shame mobile gamers. That's because of the games they play. We don't shame the money mobile makes. That's for damn sure. Mm-hmm. Because we know Sony's second billion-dollar game is actually a fucking mobile game. Anyways, the problem with that Riddle's gaming, and it's because the older crowd like Kratos and stuff just never really understood, is gaming is very limited. What does Next Gen 720 always says? Gaming is a selfish hobby.
Yep.
That's because we are fixated on buying software on a specific piece of hardware, and that's all you got. You're tied down to that hardware, and you just accept it. But with this, the reality is you buy your game on that hardware, or you buy that game on the phone, or you buy that game on your tablet. Hell, you buy the game on your PC, and you can take that piece of software, like any other software really, and you take that shit anywhere. You want to play it on your Xbox? Sure. You want to play it on your PC? Sure. You want to play it on your phone? Sure. Now, with this streaming, you extend your purchase where you're able to play your game wherever and whenever you want. And like they said with that report we saw with Sony making that streaming tablet, their audience is hyper connected. They're connected to social media. They're connected to their phone. A phone is an extension of your life. Where do you go without your cell phone nowadays? You probably freak out if you don't know where your phone is.
Exactly.
So you always have that device on you, and people clearly game on it. We make fun of mobile gamers because of the games they play, but if they were playing the console quality games you're playing, would you still be making fun of them?
Exactly.
At the end of the day, that's the problem that they're trying to solve. Gaming is very limited. Streaming makes it so it's not. Like Phil Spencer said, there's no other media out there where you buy something and are restricted to one platform. That doesn't exist with anything but gaming nowadays. And streaming is something, and Postup probably understands this because of his background. Streaming has conquered everything, Postup. It's conquered music. It's conquered TV. And now gaming is that final frontier streaming seems to have not conquered quite yet.
Look, if you look at, and I know this, people are going to say, well, it's a different platform. TV companies don't care about what shows their platforms on. They're across all different television distributors, and now they own computers, laptop, TVs, any device that has a screen on it, you can watch TV shows. And I think that's where gaming is going to, because the software here is the important thing. That's what sells, you know what I'm saying? And they make more money off software than they do hardware. Not saying that I want to get to a point where it's an all streaming future.
Yeah,
no, I still want to have my hardware. I still want to have that box in the room just in case I can have the choice of say, you know what, I'm going to go back to my dedicated box. Or if I'm out and about, I can be on my cell phone or my iPad. Then people make jokes about, well, who's going to have a controller with them? Look, if I'm out, just think if I have 5G and, you know, I got my backpack, I got a couple sandwiches and the chips. I'm out with my kids at the park, you know, and they're just running around having a good time. I can pull my controller out of my bag, snap either my cell phone or my iPad to it, and I can game while my kids enjoy themselves outside running around. Or if I'm on the front porch and it's summertime and it's a sunny day, I can strap my cell phone to my controller and chill and holler at the guys playing. Like people make fun of that, but it's the same thing I would do if I just had my phone. I'm on my phone. I'm playing a little cell phone game. You know what I'm saying? Chilling, hollering at the guys. But at this point, I got a console-like experience. And best believe they're going to be like, what you playing? And if I say Call of Duty, they're going to say never. How you do that? Show me how to do that. You know what I'm saying? So,
exactly.
Yeah, people like to make fun and joke about it, but there is some instances where this is useful.
Yeah, Postup, let's be honest. People who make fun of that, a lot of them also went out and bought a Nintendo Switch. They went out and had a Game Boy as a kid. They went out and bought a goddamn Vita. They're full of shit, Postup. At the end of the day, like MM2K showed me.
Reason for them getting a Switch?
Exactly.
Because they was able to do what?
Mobile gaming.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. But now also, since it's Microsoft, we got to question it. Because they're trying to change. No, it ain't about changing the industry. Like I understand what Phil said. Look, We're not trying to take this hardware from you, because you're gonna always have people out there that's not gonna fully dedicate themselves to something. You're gonna have people that might fully dedicate themselves to this streaming thing, but you're gonna have people that's gonna say, "Nah, I like it, I'll use it sometimes, but I still like my local box." And I just got invited to Project Stream. So I'll be testing that out this weekend.
Okay.
And you know what I'm saying? And giving my perspective on it. I haven't installed it yet, but I got in and they sent me my code.
Here's my take on it. Okay. It reminds me of something that Porter Rock, when me and him on the podcast, we keep going back and forth about. Where I say with minimum effort, even though Microsoft, minimum effort as far as output, Microsoft is being outsold 2.5 to 1, but they're not 2.5 to 1 behind in revenue. And then Porter Rock will say, but no, you're not being honest here. If Sony is making 17 million, if Microsoft would have focused on just making consoles like Sony did, then they would have 17 million or maybe more too. And I think people that have that mind state, now I think he honestly believes that. I don't think that's a bunch of BS. But what you got to understand is, for one, we're talking about two different companies. Number one, Sony is a company that's heavily embedded in hardware. They make DVDs, toasters, all types of shit. They were making toys in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? The Post-Up can probably remember that. My first radio, my first skateboard, my first shovel, and all this other bullshit. So Sony is a company that's heavily invested in hardware. They're going to find ways to come out in the black just by their hardware purchases alone, even though they make most of their money off of software. So they have third-party deals, with everybody across the globe. Microsoft doesn't have that same luxury. So they have to make their money off of services, okay? So therefore, when they go and invest their money, they're not going to invest in hardware. They're going to invest in services. So the Havoc engine and dropping money on Minecraft, that probably saved them more money than trying to mass produce more consoles. You see what I'm saying? And I think what happened was Sony could have possibly been left flat-footed with all this. They could have been left flat-footed because Sony was so busy chasing the tail of the console war and joining the crowd with everybody laughing at Microsoft. Ha ha ha, y'all only sold 30 million consoles or such and such. You can't win an NPD. Microsoft just kept trucking along. And they kept investing in infrastructure, you know what I'm saying, Azure, things like that. Now, Sony is rumored to have some things, but they're not going to be able to compete at the same level for that 2.1 billion. They're not going to be able to compete like a Google, a Microsoft, or an Amazon. Now, they may get away with it for a little bit of the gen, but the market is going to force Sony to say, look, all these other people are making money off these 2.1 billion people. You're stuck to this 150, 200 million console group. Like Sony, you got to do something. You see what I'm saying? So I think before we just assume that hardware sales is the tell-all be-all, we got to understand the whole gambit of what's going on here. And lastly, what I'm going to say before I shut up is that we could talk a little bit later about this, but the Sony alternative to this that's being rumored, I personally like it as a gamer, you know what I'm saying? But again, you guys got to stop saying Sony will never do this. Sony will never do this. Sony is going to do whatever the market dictates them to do. Once they became Fortune 500, they threw away their halo. They're all about money. So people just remember that.
And I'm going to go ahead and ask a question again, because that's when we do all podcasts. So MM2K, you're the numbers guy. How much does gaming as a whole make almost every year? We're talking millions, billions. What are we talking about?
Oh, I mean, it's definitely in the billions. And I think I know where you're going, but I'm not going to answer your question yet. But it's in the billions.
It's in the billions. Okay. So even before mobile game, where was it? Millions or billions?
I think it was closer. It was like in a higher, 100 millions or whatever.
Yeah, probably even still billions anyways. You had Halo and shit. Those games were selling like crazy. All those EA and all that, they still were selling like crazy on console. So why is it MM2K that you only have Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft? Where are the other companies if you're making billions of dollars?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you have, think about it this way, Nethos, and that's a very good point. Do you guys really know? And again, I'm not attacking Sony fans. Y'all just got to understand it's like, I'm a weather chaser. That's how I look at myself when I'm analyzing this. I don't like the fucking tornado, but the tornado's coming. You know what I'm saying? So real better recognize real. So let me drop it on y'all like this. Do y'all know what Sony's #1 selling game, I think, is of all time, Nethos?
What is it?
Is it on the PS4?
No.
No. Is it on the PS3?
No.
I don't even think it's PS2. It is what, Nethos? What is that game?
You talking about their mobile game?
Yeah, exactly. It's a mobile game. That's their best-selling game. Mobile. Sony recognizes that. They look at their financials. They know what's coming ahead of them. That's why they're sitting there making you be able to download stuff on the from PSN Now. And then they're going to say to you, and they're going to play this fanboy war stuff out until the end of this generation. And then if the streaming aspect of it, again, I'm not saying that I want streaming to take. I'm not saying I want anything. I'm just telling you. Again, I'm being a weatherman. But as the streaming aspect of it gets more and more popular, not saying it's going to replace the traditional console method tomorrow, but as it gets more popular and it generates more revenue, then again, Sony is going to have an answer for it. Not because if they want to. I'm not saying Sony wants to, which they do, but I'm not even saying that. The market is going to go to Sony and say, you are in the gaming business. They're making all this extra money because they have these portable streaming services. You don't have anything active. Your stock price is here now. It will drop unless you have an alternative. What is your answer, Sony? That's the way the market works. Sorry, it's reality. Again, I don't love the tornado. I'm just telling you that the tornado is coming.
Yeah. And I'm going to return to that question because I want to go ahead and explain to you guys what I think of the answer. So we only have Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo and the console hardware business. And going back to my boy Kratos, because he's the one who's been most up in arms about the streaming shit. At the end of the day, he asked, there's been plenty of companies that have come into gaming and they died out. And we can name a bunch. We can name Sega. We can name the Magnum Box. You guys are old. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. So you can name all these companies that came in, tried doing the console thing, and they died out. And why was that? Consoles cost billions of dollars to make, billions of dollars to research, and it's a very hard sell. And at the end of the day, even if you have one hell of a console like the Xboxes and shit and the PlayStations, at the end of the day, you have to sell the fucking console. You have to make exclusive software. You have to make people buy your console because once they have the consoles at their home, then they buy software, and that's how you make your big money. It's always about software. So with this idea of streaming and that streaming may actually work, we can see where Project Stream right now, it's clearly working. People are in denial about it, but you can sign up for the beta right now and you try it for yourself if you're selected. But this streaming, you know what that eliminates, PostUp? You know what that eliminates, MM2K? It eliminates the billions upon billions of dollars you put into R&D and manufacturing consoles. That's why these companies are now here. That's why Google's not here. That's why Amazon's about to be here, because now they don't have to spend billions on making hardware. They can just put out cheap streaming sticks and they're good to go. They put out a storefront and they're good to go. They can reap in the benefit of the billions of dollars gaming makes without putting back in billions of dollars into it.
I definitely agree with that.
And that's the whole point. That's why those companies always failed, because they couldn't keep up with the software. They couldn't keep up with the hardware. That's why you had to have huge companies like Microsoft, like Nintendo, like Sony to be here. But now in the day and age where streaming is available, where you have all these servers, and these servers can do more than just gaming, yeah, these companies are here now. Google is here now. That's when I told people shit just got real just because Google arrived.
Yeah, I mean, and the internet is going to get better too. I know people have a tendency a lot of times to question internet companies now and usage and things like that. But every day these major corporations are laying fiber all across the United States and from this continent to other continents. Microsoft got a project going on now where they're doing that. So they wouldn't be doing this now if they know at some point that the internet in terms of speed and bandwidth is going to get better. I mean, the cost of 1 gigabit is real cheap now compared to what it was years ago. So I mean, it's there. Like I said, this is viable for people who have access to it and who have the bandwidth in order to do it. I'm not saying this for everybody, but whoever is able to access it and able to use it, I'm pretty sure they enjoy it, because based off looking at that project stream, how smooth that stuff was playing with no lag or anything. And I'm sure Microsoft got technology that's even on par or even better. From what they were saying in that video, they saying they had stuff that even exceed 5G. So, and if they can get it down to 10 megabits or 5 megabits for what they're trying to do, that's going to be even better, because you're going to reach even a wider audience.
Mm-hmm. A couple of questions in the chat. First, the homie Banghouse says, the loser shouldn't decide the direction of gaming. Online is only bad. I asked you, Banghouse, did you say that when Sony dictated the narrative this generation, because they were the losers last generation? You know, you got to keep it across the board. I'm sorry, what were you going to say, Post Up?
No, it's not the loser. Microsoft is not dictating this. It's third party.
Yeah,
because Ubisoft, EA, all the major third parties are adapting a cloud-like type feature. I mean, it's already there. If you actually look at it, it's already implemented. It just has to be done from a more so universal perspective, where it's not sectored off. You know what I'm saying? Where it's consistency, no matter what platform you on. That cross progression comes with you everywhere you go. Right now, you don't get that because it's pretty much secluded to what platform you own. This is going to allow it to happen where no matter what platform you own, you can access Microsoft, Ubisoft, EA. You can access that content from anywhere and enjoy it. The industry is dictating this. Microsoft, Sony and Microsoft is not bigger than the industry. No one company is bigger than the industry. And the industry is going that way. They're going to follow it because no company wants to be last. Microsoft know what it feels like to lose out and be last, because they have done it over decades. They have been last to everything when they was in a position to get there first. And I'm pretty sure for people who talk about Sony saying, hey, Sony is just going to continue with this traditional model, sell hardware because that works for them, and single-player games, and they're going to make all their money. Nah. Sony don't want to be left out. You know what I'm saying? Because they're being left out, meaning that they're leaving out some form of revenue, and they know if PlayStation is the brand that their company is basing it off, they need every revenue stream that they can get.
Yeah. And actually, I'm going to answer this question real quick, and then I'm going to answer you guys another question. So, from Victor Allison here, question, Pulse Up, you'll probably understand this more. How in the world is next gen going to be able to implement ray tracing GPU graphics for $500 or less? And in my opinion, maybe I'm completely wrong, but at the end of the day, the next gen consoles alone can't necessarily do that. But maybe, just maybe, through streaming measures and other implementation, that's how you can get something close to ray tracing like things. But you go ahead.
In terms of GPU, we're not getting no ray tracing GPUs in it.
We're not.
No, man. No. They got to make these systems affordable. Now, can't they implement some features of ray tracing where they can do it on a hardware and software level? Maybe so. But for ray tracing like the 280, don't I wouldn't expect that. Don't even think about it. They got to make these devices as cost effective as possible. You know, people gave Microsoft a hard time bringing out a $499 console. We don't even want to think about a ray tracing.
It's all $699 console. But here's hopefully my last question because I've been eating them all day. So, what is a problem in gaming today? I'll give you a hint. It starts with the letter M and it starts with the letter P. Can you guys guess what the problem with gaming today is?
I thought you were going to say M and it ends in K. I was about to say, God damn, what I do to you?
No, but what do people complain about most on Twitter and shit when a new game announces a certain thing? I'll give you an example. Devil May Cry 5.
What was that? Multi-transactions or
microtransactions.
Microtransactions.
People hate microtransactions because it takes away the core value of the game. It makes them more grindy. It makes them almost cheap feeling. And here's the thing, Post-Up, MM2K, you guys probably understand this the most, even probably more than me. Why are games implementing microtransactions and so on?
Well, as I always said, I'm telling my age here, but back in here goes, I can hear Post-Up right now in my head going crazy. Look, back in 1989, all right, there was this little game called King's Quest, all right. King's Quest, you could buy it at EB Games, or it used to be called Electronic Boutique, that turned into EB Games, that ended up merging with GameStop. That game back in 1989 was $45. Okay, that's what, almost 30 years ago, right? That's like what, 29 years ago. You tell me, now I'm not doing a percentage. What is that, 15% or whatever? You tell me what other service or product or commodity that we use that only went up 0.15% from 1989 to 2018. I want to know. So with that being said, Amy Henning, you don't believe MM2K, believe Amy Henning, you know, from the former creative director, I can't remember her position exactly, from Uncharted. She told you that single player games are being more expensive to develop, and that pool of gamers is not growing. So we can hate multi-transactions all we want. All I'm saying is, for us as gamers, I think we should hold them honest and make sure they don't do a Battlefront 2 type thing, but to completely choke off that revenue stream. I'm gonna keep telling y'all can keep denying it and keep wanting to show me these tinfoil YouTube videos. Y'all are going to end up paying $90 for these games if y'all don't cut it out. Stop it. Now they calling certain microtransactions gambling. You know what I'm saying? All the government is trying to do is tax for it. They're not going to get rid of them. They're going to tax you for them. And guess who that cost is going to be trickled down to, passed on to? You, the consumer. So I mean, I know I went to a whole nother tangent. You triggered me, Neasels, with that, but I just want people to understand that when on the financial side of it, that you can hate microtransactions all you want. But again, I may not like the tornado. I'm gonna keep saying this. I may not like the tornado. My job is just to tell you that it's coming. Yeah,
and you hit something good there. And before I go to that point that you made, I want to say, before microtransactions, what did we have? We had a bunch of paid-for DLC. There was that meme out there where you get a nice burger, but with modern games, you take out the lettuce, you take out the tomatoes, and they only leave you with like the patty. And then you have to pay the extra $40 to get the rest of the stuff back, which should have been there in the first place. And microtransactions, they put more of the stuff in there. Now they only take out the tomatoes, but they give you the lettuce, and you'll get the stuff later on as a free add-on.
It's already built on the disc. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But what I will say is you had something interesting there. You said the market is tapped out. And at the end of the day, these games, they need what? They need more players to potentially sell to. Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo might hit 500 million gamers, and even those games aren't available to all 500 million of those players. There's plenty of players who literally buy accounts and buy 2 games a year. But if you start introducing these games to potentially billions of other people out there, maybe they will get some more of that revenue. Maybe they will be able to make more of these games. I'm not saying microtransactions and DLC will go away. That shit is here to stay. It will always be there. But maybe if they get additional revenue, more people they could sell their game to, maybe they won't be quite as bad.
Look at this. I look at it like this. If they increase the prices of games, games are going to get pissed. The more powerful and advanced these systems get, the bigger the world get, the more investment they have to invest in terms of game development. The game development is skyrocketing nowadays in terms of what it takes or how much you need to create a AAA game. And they're not recouping all of their money back through software sales. You have to sell a whole lot of 1 million, 2 million sold is not doing it no more. If you're not doing 4 or 5 million, 6 million, then you're not really getting a return on your investment that you're looking for.
Thank you.
So these companies have to find other revenue streams in order to recoup or in order to recoup some of that. Because that's why you had a lot of, over the last couple years, we've lost a whole lot of game studios. A whole lot of them. and people wonder why companies like Obsidian and Ninja Theory, who preached independence and had this mantra that, you know, we're going to give you AAA gaming from an independent studio. Why they signed with Microsoft? Because they knew over the long term that wasn't viable or sustainable, and that they needed the backing of Microsoft for them to keep doing what they're doing. And the same with Obsidian. I just read I'm gonna get the link for y'all. I just read a link, and a lot of people question Microsoft in the city because they say, "Hey, isn't Microsoft the one that almost nearly bankrupt Obsidian?" Well, this guy named Avalon, who used to be a CCO of Obsidian, I think, who got fired, he broke that whole story down, and it wasn't Microsoft. It was Obsidian who pushed Microsoft away. Now, Abbott, Microsoft was coming to them, asking them things, add to the game. But he was like, well, we know it was going to be hard. But he said, we knew Microsoft would have paid us for it if we was going to try to incorporate the things they wanted. And he said, everybody at the studio wanted that contract for that Stormland game. Despite what Microsoft was asking, they knew that if they would have kept that contract, the bucks would have kept rolling in, and they wouldn't have to let nobody go. Well, the guy who owned Obsidian at that time was real kind of raunchy towards Microsoft and telling them, no. They got the bumpy heads. Microsoft said, you know what? We can see this is not working out. You're not trying to do anything we asking you, even though we're going to tell you we pay for them. We finna hit the road. And when Microsoft said they was backing out, they tried to save it at the last minute, but it was too late. And after that, they started to have to let go developers. Yeah. Employees started to get fired and let go. And so, hence today, they probably fixed their relationship now. But Obsidian been trying to get brought for the last couple years.
Let's go. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Post.
No, I'm just saying. You wonder why.
Let's go to the chat. So we got them riled up here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we do.
So the homie Banghouse says, man, I don't care about Google. I don't care about Amazon. Microsoft has a bit of respect, and they are doing that 2013 shit on the sneak again.
What?
All right, Banghouse. Here's the thing. I don't know your age. I'm not going to try to predict it or whatever. I'm going to assume, and I could be wrong. And you clown me if I'm wrong. I'm going to assume that you're younger. You're a younger gamer. You might be in your 20s. Okay, you might be older, but the reason why I'm basing that off your statement because Sony tried to do what Microsoft did before Microsoft did it. You know what I'm saying? In the last generation, the cell processor was so complicated and made the way that it was because Sony was hoping that base model could last you 2 generations. Sony also doesn't want to keep selling you a bunch of consoles. They were trying to make that move way back when, where they could sell you one console that could last you multiple generations, and then they could rely on computing and stuff online. I remember, I think Brother Postup had talked about that.
Mask. I mean, my bad.
Morse. No, sorry. My thing is that I don't. So that's why I said you might be younger because you don't remember that. They were going to offset that with the online technology. So even though we joke about the power of the 12 titans of the cloud, that came after Sony tried it. Okay, first and foremost. Secondly, I hope you guys have that same energy. I'm not picking on you, Banghouse, but I hope you guys got that same energy for Gran Turismo, because from what I understand, I haven't played the game, but from what I understand, Gran Turismo has like an online check feature or whatever. And with that being said, you don't have to always be online for every single game that you have. This is an option right now. Okay, right now it's an option. They're going to come out with a traditional console. They're just giving you the option to be able to stream your games. And I'm telling you that even though you don't have to like it, I may not like it. Now, I originally wasn't a big fan of it until I started testing out some things with Steam or whatever. And I'm doing another, I can't talk about it, but I'm doing another streaming test. This shit is fire. This shit is fire, bro. For me to look, I'm someone that always goes out with my wife shopping. She spends up all my goddamn money. That's why most can't play no games, because most can't buy no games, because she spends up all the damn money. While her ass is in the store, I'm just sitting around the mall looking stupid. Now I can pull out my phone, you know what I'm saying? And finish up on my Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and she could go shopping to her heart's content. I don't know if she's gonna do it anyway, but now I ain't gotta just sit there and suffer. There are so many people that are gonna go through the scenario to where, again, if I never go shopping with her again, I'll have my traditional console. But if I'm in those scenarios, I can whip out my phone and I can finish my Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now, to your point, Banghouse, is it eventually gonna get this way? Where everything's online, yeah, but by that it'll be way past our time. We'll be long, old, and gone. We'll be gaming with an eye patch and shit. You know what I'm saying? eating stewed prunes and shit. And the next generation, they won't even care. They'll laugh at the fact that we had these conversations.
And so what Mo said.
Sorry, what you about to say, post up?
I say to what Mo said. We know when a woman goes in a store, that's 3 hours of gaming guaranteed.
Woo! Exactly.
Facts.
Guaranteed.
Beat God of War.
3 hours of gaming guaranteed once they go in the store. And don't let the stores, her two favorite stores, be either next to each other or across from each other in the mall. You got about 6 hours right there. You good. Right. You could complete a couple of games.
MM2K would have been beat God of War if I could have brought that shit on my phone. Trust me. I'd have beat it in April.
And I also want to take some of his comments. So I think he is more of a single player type guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure he loves his God of War, his Spider-Man, basically the whole Sony lineup, because they are fantastic games for the most part. I know MM2K disagrees, but I think they're pretty good. Anyways, for every good PlayStation game, you have your God of War selling 5 million a month. You have your Spider-Man selling 3.2 million in fucking 3 days. There's also going to be your Detroit to Be Human that, I don't know, I don't even think it cracked a full 2 million. It's probably closer to 1.5 million. And they cancel shit for Detroit to Be Human. They cancel the photo mode. And I'm not sure if that studio is making another game. At the end of the day, single player games won't always do fantastic. They won't always do well. You won't always get the sequel. And that's because our market is tapped out. And you could say maybe they didn't promote Detroit to Be Human too much, but is that to say that means they shouldn't ever get a sequel again? Because it's unlikely for them to necessarily be funded. And I could be wrong, but it's looking harder and harder for that to happen. But if Sony did offer the game to be streamed to other devices or whatever, and people were able to buy it there, maybe Detroit to Be Human could have got that extra revenue, so it could have made its sequel, so it could have got its photo mode, because these single-player games alone won't always be the answer. Even if it's a really good game, it's not always going to make the money it needs to.
I just want to say real quick, I mean, we got the brother Post up here. We got my main man's Nethos up here spitting logic. I'm sitting here being the old fogey that I am. Can you do us a huge favor? If you're mildly entertained, hit that like button, man. You know what I'm saying? Show us that you're appreciating this, because we want to bring this to the Patreon, and we can only do this with your support. And before I completely shut up for a little bit more, my homies, Lynchus Speaks. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Says, why didn't Sony fans come out against PS now? I don't know.
To be fair, I did see Porter Rock make fun of that service all the time. I will say that.
Yeah, I mean, to what Banghouse said, did you know that the PS4 was going to be an always online system? Did you know that DRM started, the rumor started with the PS4 before the Xbox?
Yeah.
At the beginning of this generation.
Yep.
Do you know that Sony changed their tune on that?
At the last minute.
At the last minute after they seen Microsoft.
That's true.
And people don't know. And that's why you have to, I respect Sony. You see your competition down on the ground. They ain't try to give them a helping hand. They put their foot on them.
Yes.
They stumped them out of. They literally stumped Microsoft while they was down this generation.
Exactly.
It was to Microsoft point, but people like to clown about Microsoft always online system. But we got pretty much what they was doing at the beginning, what they was trying to do at the beginning of this generation. We have those systems now.
Go ahead, Post up. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Now, I was gonna say, look, you guys got to understand that for Microsoft as a company, I think they, even with the old regime, even with Donnie D, I mean, they were more old school and they were a little bit more competitive and they like to throw rocks across the street. But overall, Microsoft doesn't feel like that they're on Sony's level. They think they're better than Sony. Okay, as a company altogether. Just look at the market. Just look at what they're covering. So they want to surpass Sony as far as how they're looked at, even in this gaming thing. Right now, they may have stumbled over themselves at first, but I think what we got to understand is that there are some things that Microsoft, even under the old regime, is not willing to do just to get up on top of Sony, that Sony is willing to do. From all intents and purposes, what PostUp said was absolutely right. And we had that confirmed on shameless plug Scram Punks when we had our homie Randolph Thor there. Remember, he explained to everybody that, and this is something that I heard in an earlier stint that I was doing with somebody else too, that at the very last moment, at the 11th hour, Sony pulled this and threw the whole industry, awry. They decided that they weren't going to do DRM. Everybody was upset, but everybody shook hands again when they saw the gap that Sony created by making that move. So you guys can't, again, you guys want to know the tornado's coming. Y'all want to know the storm is coming, but there's got to be some things that you got to recognize. You got to realize that Sony isn't like, oh man, we just want to keep it traditional gaming. This is what they're invested in right now. This is where their sole investment is right now. So they're going with the gusto. But as soon as the opportunity presents themselves where they can spread their business, because that's good for the market, they're going to do it, period.
Okay, Bankhouse, I understand. You said the point is, I don't want this always online crap at all. And I can understand that. And my perspective, my opinion is, I wish Microsoft would have stuck with the system that they had at the beginning of this generation, because it would have separated them from what Sony and Nintendo was offering. It would have been a system that separated to the self from the pack to say, okay, you are different from these other two. You're not just a regular or traditional system in a sense, because the reason why the check-in was there was because, one, when you went and purchased, when you went and purchased the game, say you bought the physical copy, you got the digital copy that the same day and date of that particular game. So when you went home and you installed that game to your Xbox, you don't need the disc no more.
Exactly.
You can pick the disc up. You don't got to worry about it damaging or nothing, because you don't need that disc to play that game. You was able to just install it and play it. Also, another thing, your library moved with you. So if I went over to Moss Crib, all I needed to was go in, sign in, and then my whole library come over and I can play all my games on his system automatically. Then you was able to share your library with up to 10 people.
Yeah, wasn't that crazy? That was crazy, man.
You can't implement those type of features and not have a check-in, because people will be able to install games. Or I'll be able to go, Moss, you got that Street Fighter? Let me install that in. I'm gonna give you the disc back. I got a free game.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So it had to be a check. And then people was worried about not being able to trade your games in. Well, they had a system in place for that as well, as far as transferring licenses either through GameStop or even trading with, if I say I got this game, I got Call of Duty, Moss, I'm finna sell you this. I'm finna sell you my license, ownership of this license. You know what I'm saying? Then Microsoft said they was going to get a little cut in the middle, and the developers of the game was going to get a little cut from that transaction. Hey,
that would have lowered the overall cost for everybody.
Exactly. And guess who came out against it? GameStop, because it knew it would have killed them. GameStop shitted on Microsoft at the beginning of this generation because what they was trying to do with the selling old games and stuff. It was going to be, you wouldn't have needed to go through GameStop. They was the middleman. They was cutting the middleman out. I was able to go to Moss, let me sell you this license to this game if you want it for this month. I get my cut. Microsoft and the devs get their cut. Everybody happy.
And look, this is, and again, we talk a little bit about, you know, how we want to differentiate ourselves with Steam, but we ain't got it ain't about the gaming part, it's the infrastructure part. This shit is already pretty much happening on Steam. You know what I'm saying? And it's working successfully. Now, Steam has some Steam cards and you sell this, and it's a little bit different, but Microsoft is going to take that's already working on Steam, simplify the process, and cut the middleman out. You guys claim that y'all hate GameStop, right? But I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what is it? Do you want to support the devs or you don't want to support the devs? You know what I mean? Like, I get apprehension about always online. And what I'm telling everybody from this is that, which is true, your traditional console right now is not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. You'll still be able to do it. But eventually down the road, when we're wearing eye patches and eating Metamucil sandwiches, then it'll go away. But right now, it's not going away. This is just another option for you and for other people that want to utilize it. If you don't want to utilize it, then don't utilize it, period.
Right. And Clement, stop at post. Nobody wants online. Only single player. Look, I'm not talking about you and what you want. I made those statements based on what I wanted. I don't care about what you wanted. Like I said,
that's a you problem.
That's a you problem. I say meaning in my opinion that they should have stayed with that system. And I'm pretty sure the community would have came around to it because we still got those systems now and ain't nobody complaining. I remember the beginning of the situation when Microsoft announced that online thing, everybody started worrying about everybody else that they usually people start. Well, what about people that don't got no internet? Well, what about the soldiers over in Iraq
on the internet?
Yeah, what about the soldiers over there? What are y'all still worrying about them same people now? Exactly. Because as far as I know, if I'm playing 2K and my internet goes off, 2K gonna tell me I'm no longer connected to the server. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And my V points ain't gonna calculate.
You feel me?
And if them V points don't calculate, Chief, it's a wrap.
GT Sports came out with an always online mode. I didn't hear no Sony fans who was complaining at the beginning of this generation complaining about that.
It's a lot of it is fake. Right? Go ahead, Nico.
Yeah, but here's the thing: we always say like the Xbox One was gonna be an always online system, and fair enough, but when I think of always online, that means you have to be connected to the internet every damn second. But what Microsoft was proposing was more of an online check system. Yeah. You just quickly check your internet, see that your shit is valid, and you're good to go. Who doesn't have a smartphone with LTE nowadays, with 4G nowadays? That's all they wanted. They just wanted a quick ping, and you were good to go. If you're telling me you don't have that, you're going to surprise me. You generally would surprise me if you're going around with like a flip phone at this point.
Y'all sitting there saving y'all internet passcodes and all this other shit in the cloud for Lord knows who to see, and you worried about Microsoft pinging you every 3 days to see, to make sure that you don't have a pirated game. Like, stop. But with that said, gentlemen, we spent an hour on that. Even though it's a big topic, we spent an hour on it, and we got a couple more to go through. So can we move along to the other big Xbox story, which is, and we got Brother Postup here to talk about this. So I'm Brother Postup, the Professor Postup, to talk to us about I'm only saying rumor because it wasn't officially announced by Microsoft, but I think it's all etched in stone. The rumored quote-unquote purchase of Obsidian by Xbox. If you could talk to us a little bit about that, what you know about this and where the state is right now, and what you, in your opinion, what you think this means for Xbox. He's not here right now. Okay, so
no, I'm here. My bad. I had my. What was the question?
The question was, the supposed rumor about Xbox purchasing Obsidian. Like, where are we at right now? How did this all start? Any information that you have, and finally, if you can give us your opinion on this purchase, like what does this mean for Xbox as a whole?
Well, it started with Clobrill, who was on the Reset Era forum, which is pretty much NeoGAF 2.0. After the NeoGAF fallout with the accusations with the owner. Majority of everybody left and created Reset Era. Now, Clobrill is a credited source. He gave us Microsoft whole E3 conference prior to E3. He the one that had gave information about the letter of intent for Playground Games being purchased. And he's been talking about this Obsidian purchase for the last 2 or 3 months, way before mainstream even picked up on it. He was over in Reset Era talking about Microsoft and Obsidian being purchased. Microsoft purchasing Obsidian. He said a letter of intent was given prior to E3, and that Obsidian signature was already on it. The only signature that was left off was Microsoft. Now, I don't know if that's the same letter of intent. They probably renegotiated things, which it seems like, because he said in the contract it states that they get to expand a team to over 200 members. So he is a credible source. He has been right in the past. He confirmed that the deal is pretty much done. He also was the one who confirmed that that the deal was going on and that media was starting to investigating it, and that articles was going to be coming out. And no later, sooner than a day or two late, you get you got Kotaku coming out with an article saying, "Hey, Microsoft is purchasing Obsidian." So he was correct. He was correct about that as well. Now, I got my sources that told me it was pretty much a done deal, barring any last minute pullouts, but that the deal was already done and it was already complete from what I was told. And I was told by somebody who be talking to, and amongst the execs and be around them, and up the bam. I don't want to. I told them I wasn't going to put their name. I'm not going to even give an agenda. I told them I wasn't going to put their name out, but they told me it was pretty much done. And me personally, I love this deal. Also, Clobril came out today and said Obsidian is not the last acquisition. That 2 to 4 more acquisitions is coming after that. Right. And he knows, because he created a picture with all the studios now, and he had Obsidian to it, and he had to be continued, but he had the emoticon with the zip map, like, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. Because when he exposed the Obsidian, if you go on Reset Era, there's a thread about it, and the Sony fans were so mad and flustered in that thread that he left the forum. He left the forum because the way people was acting in that thread. And he just recently made him a Twitter account. So now he's on Twitter. But the thread was so toxic and people were so mad at Microsoft or at him or at Microsoft for purchasing Obsidian that he left the forum. And it was crazy. It was that toxic. He was like, I did not even know it was gonna be like this. But as far as my take on it, I think it's wonderful. I think you have a developer who's in the past who has delivered game after game in terms of the projects that they was funded to work on, whether they was given enough time or a short time, whether they was given a big budget or a small budget, they deliver. Knights of Old Republic 2, Neverwinter Nights, Fallout New Vegas, Pillars of Eternity, and just so on. Which Fallout New Vegas, some people consider to be the best Fallout of all times. So you have a dev team that has major experience, and I'm pretty sure with the resources that they get behind Microsoft, they're going to be able to expand to.
Hello. So while Postup is getting his
he's muted himself.
My bad. Hold on, I'm going to mute myself. My girl just muted me. She's smacking my hands. She's smacking my face. She wants some attention right now. So I'm going to mute myself, and I'm going to be right back.
Okay. All right. But to pick up from where Postup left off, here's a full list of games before I turn it over to Neethles to give his thoughts. Fallout New Vegas, 2010. Pillars of Eternity, 2015. Pillars of Eternity 2, 2018. Tyranny. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2. The Stick of Truth. Skyforge. Alpha Protocol. Neverwinter Nights. Dungeon Siege. Armor Warfare. Pathfinder Adventures. And Wasteland 2. I did not know that they were part of that game. Now, with that being said, out of all those games that I listed, Nethos, I think there was only one game that did not score over 80, 85, and that's Alpha Protocol. So this is a big time, as far as being critically acclaimed, this is a big time developer.
Damn. So you were telling me Microsoft will have a new potential developer that can make a game that's over 69 on Metacritic?
I think it's a potential. Hey, look, I'm going to look at it like this. Okay, let's get everybody triggered. Let's get everybody triggered because we're going to make an announcement of something that a new interaction we're going to do with you guys. We kind of talked about this a little bit and everything's set and ready to go. But I just wanted to say this to get y'all a little triggered, get y'all angry. I'm going to say, if I'm a gamer and I'm looking at the creme de la creme for across the street, and I'm looking at the new creme de la creme for Microsoft that's been announced. Again, there's 4 more studios possibly that PostUp said. I'm looking at across the street, I'm looking at Naughty Dog. Okay. I'm looking at Santa Monica, and I'm looking at the team that does the baseball game. Okay. Now people are going to say, but the Killzone people, look. Them mugs made 85 kill zones before they came up with a game that was that people were saying, oh, really made some serious saturation. And regardless of how many copies it sold, that is one of the most polarizing games this generation. You either like it or you hate it. People either love it or they hate it. And most of the people that love it are PlayStation fanboys. Okay, I'm sorry to say that. So true. Horizon Zero Dawn, Guerrilla Games, they are very talented tech people.
Okay, I'm back, people. I'm back. What's up?
That's cool. That's cool. No, we were talking. I read off all the games posted. I'm gonna go through them again, just so there's no confusion. All right, this is all of the Obsidian games that we know of so far. Fallout New Vegas, Pillars of Eternity, Pillars of Eternity 2, Tyranny, which I bought on PC, is great. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, South Park: The Stick of Truth, Skyforge, Alpha Protocol, Neverwinter Nights 2, Dungeon Siege 3, Armored Warfare, Pathfinder Adventures. I think I already said Neverwinter Nights 2. There's a couple of and Wasteland 2. I think out of all those games, there might only be like 2 of them that are ranked that are ranked lower than 8.
Yeah. And that's South Park. That South Park junk. They saying that's one of the best RPGs this gen.
Come on, man.
I don't know. I think people look at the name South Park and kind of laugh at it. But yeah. I know a few South Park games I had on the 360 that was pretty fun. But from what I've heard, that South Park game is a pretty dope RPG. So
yeah. So and I was getting the anti-Xbox wing of the chat riled up. I said, look, if I'm looking at it now, post up in Nethel, and I'm looking at it like, okay, and I'm looking at Sony's top hitters against Microsoft's right now. You got across the street, you got Naughty Dog, you got Santa Monica, and then you got the team that does the baseball game. Now they may argue, well, what about the team that did Horizon Zero Dawn? I'm not even counting them because they had to make 99,000 games before they came out with a game that had some serious saturation with it. So I'm not counting Guerrilla Games. They're very talented tech people, but I'm not counting them. All right. So if I'm the top 3 to me are the people behind Uncharted and Last of Us, the people behind this new God of War, and they've been, Santa Monica's proven themselves before, and then the people that make the baseball game, right? Those are the year after year after year, people are saying the baseball game is good. Now we're going to take that against the top 3 over at Microsoft. Now, you got Coalition with Gears. Gears always has good saturation. You got Playground Games, right? That is uber talented. All of the Forzas, are ranked high. And now you got Obsidian, who, again, like I said, out of all those games that I just named, I just think, come on, hey, I'll bang with you with those cards. Come on, let's do this.
I mean they're proven developers, and now they're going to expand their teams. They're going to be working on multiple projects. Ninja Theory is working on multiple projects. Playground Games is working on multiple projects. Rare is working on multiple projects. And you got 2 to 4 more acquisitions. So this is where the cloud thing comes in. If you're going to have a service such as a cloud streaming game, you have to have software for that service.
Absolutely.
And so, and this is going to bode well because they have to cater to the PC audience as well. So you get a company that's well versed in creating games for PC and console.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's why all these acquisitions, because they have to have a cloud service that has to have a wide variety of games. And all I'm saying now is the way you feel about Microsoft, I don't care. But the way they spend it now, I know Phil got a bigger bag than Donnie D. He got a way bigger bag. They might have gave this man a blank check from the way they spending. But all I know is Microsoft is strapped for next gen. Period. They strapped.
The Bang House says MM2K, you forget Sucker Punch. Japan Studio, Media Molecule, Sony Ben, and many more. Look.
You're talking top 3.
Look. I said the top. I'm comparing the top 3. I'm not going to do that Golden Corral stuff. All right, y'all love to have 50 varieties, everything that tastes like onions. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the creme de la creme dishes. I'm talking about the top 3 dishes at Golden Corral and the top 3 dishes at Ruth Chris Steakhouse, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, and I will take Naughty Dog, Santa Monica, and SIE versus Coalition, Playground, and Obsidian. I'll take that challenge. I'm not saying one is going to. I'm not saying that Microsoft dude's going to wallop it. I'm saying I will take that challenge. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is, Sucker Punch. Okay, they did the Infamous games. Infamous. Did it have a great saturation? No. And people are talking about Ghost of Tsushima. I'm not going to dog the game. The game is not out yet. I don't think Infamous is not at a level of a Naughty Dog. They're not even at a level, I'm sorry, of a Santa Monica. Okay, I'm sorry. So I didn't include them. What does Media Molecule do? What the hell did they do? They
did Little Big Planet, and they got Dreams.
Doing that Dreams.
The game they gave you for free post up after your system got hacked. No, man, come on, just stop.
No, I mean, Dreams is just a glorified version of what Microsoft was doing with Project Spark.
Yeah, it's just Project Spark.
Yeah, and everybody was laughing at it, but you know, like Sony fans always do, Microsoft do something, they crap on it, but when Sony do it, it's the best thing in the world. And when Dreams come out, even though they call Microsoft a diabetic company for having games that look like that, they will not be calling Sony diabetic for Dreams, even though it is a diabetic title.
Look, Post Up, we got the DMs. We already know they're calling that game an L, I actually want to ask you guys another question real quick, because Post Up brought up the streaming and a variety of games and Game Pass even. So when Microsoft first announced Game Pass and they're putting their first-party games on there, we already were starting to call it, I don't know if Microsoft said it themselves, but I know we in the community started calling it the Netflix of gaming. And with the Netflix of gaming, what holds back Game Pass? Is it the games they have? Sure. They need more good games on there. They don't need more State of Decay 2s. They need something that Obsidian can do, something Playground can do, and so on. But what's also holding back Game Pass and what's stopping it from being the Netflix of gaming is being limited to the Xbox console. That thing can never be the Netflix of gaming unless if it's on those billions of devices out there. So imagine you pay $10 a month and you have access to hundreds of games.
Not even.
That's the idea.
Guess what, Nithos? Look, they tell you it's 100 games, but right now Game Pass is over probably near 200 games. It's 200 games right now, and best believe it's going to go to PC. Best believe you're going to be able to access those games on mobile. For $10 a month, you're going to be able to stream Game Pass games to your device of choice.
D's kind of up in the chat. I'm sorry. D says because all of them besides 3, all of them is trash besides 3 of them.
Look, I understand. Look, I understand the hardcore games in there. Yeah. Awesome. But for me, when my children go in there, they don't understand this language we're talking right now. All they go in there, they see a Sonic or a little goofy character, and they want to play that game. So they, oh, Daddy, what's this? Well, download it, son, and see what it is and play it. And next thing you know, they're in the room laughing, playing a game I probably would never download or play. But for them, it's for them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We got to stop thinking about ourselves.
Just ourselves, yeah.
Just ourselves. We got to think about the kids and what other people might, because my opinion is not Moss' opinion or Nithu's opinion. What Nithu's like and Moss like, I might not like.
Exactly.
We all like different things. So just because it might not be successful or something that you want, that don't negate that other people might want it.
Vapix Bill says, "Yo, did someone repo post up PS4 Pro already?"
Yo, they said, "Yo, Bill, this is a positive Xbox podcast, bro. This is not a RIP Xbox podcast, bro." So, guess on the flip side, you know what, Nithus? Catch me on Xbox Beastfire or MMP, and then you'll see my pony side. I give you the pony side.
Hey, that's why we're doing this late night up in the cut.
We just want some positive news for Xbox. You find so many podcasts that and that do what the media do. They took advantage of it. It was this generation, you got clicks if you shit it on Microsoft.
Exactly. They follow the clicks. Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
What I was saying is, and to what Post Up's point is, and what me and Nithos have said all along, is that we want to have a straightforward Xbox podcast. We don't want to have a podcast where we're like, Microsoft can do no right. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to have one of them podcasts where they say, hey, Microsoft need new studios. Then when they get new studios, okay, well, Microsoft need to make games. And now they make games. Well, Microsoft got to make games that make
that's not cry. 60 or not 60. You're right about that. The whole generation we got. Microsoft need to invest in first-party studios. They need to invest in first, and then they start doing it, and people mad at them for doing it. Say, now, where are the games at? I see them buying all these studios. Where are the games?
Yeah, exactly.
If it ain't one thing, it's another, man. You can't make these people happy. I wouldn't even try to.
Because they don't have legitimate beef. But we're also going to, when we got some bad news, and we got something that is going to be interesting, before we close out later on down the road. But we got some interesting stuff. Everything isn't, happy-go-lucky, here either. We got something we got to talk about. We're going to come straight down the middle. And we want to give kudos to Microsoft when they're doing good, when they're hitting that demographic. Look, again, I, like Post Up said, and Nithos may even be this case, this may not be the preferred platform for any of us on this panel, but we can look at this from 5,000 feet and see how big this actually is. What's your thoughts on that, Nithos?
Thoughts on what?
Your thoughts on, my bad. I kind of got choked up, so emotional. But looking at this being able to look at this from 5,000 feet and say, and look beyond our own personal taste to say, you know what, this is something big.
No, are you talking about the streaming? What's big?
Yeah, all of it. The streaming,
the prospect. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like I kept saying, streaming and stuff has been around here forever. It's taken over movies. It's taken over your music. Who's to say it won't take over gaming? And the prospect of you have these billions of devices out there. These devices are already in your hands. There's devices that you won't go a foot without. Like, who walks outside of their house without their phone? You're going to have to find some special person who would do that, because at the end of the day, these phones and stuff, they're an extension of your life. I can't go anywhere without my phone. So the idea of I can play console quality games on my phone and you're telling me that's going to flop, that's not going to work. And if the latency is there's not any latency at all, really, you can't tell me that wouldn't take off.
Yeah.
And if there is, and some people have asked me this, and I am adamant about it, they ask, is there going to be a charge for this streaming? Are you going to pay maybe a monthly fee to have the ability to stream? If there is a charge, maybe that could hinder it. or if you're renting these games for a certain amount of times, that would hinder it. But how I understand it is you buy the game, and instead of playing it natively, you just stream it. Instead of downloading it, you just stream it. Just like how you buy something off Amazon Prime, off your living room TV, you just stream it on the go, and I mean the movie service.
I hope I don't get okay. I'm going to try to follow me, y'all. I'm going to say I'm testing something out, right? I'm testing out a stream service, and I'll just put it like this: what's being done is there is X amount of space that is sliced off for each user, and when you go to install your game, you know how you may go install your game locally, right? And it may be, it may take you like 15, 20 minutes or whatever. Well, because this is they sliced out X amount of space on their server, you go like you get Shadow the Tomb Raider, you go to download it on the server, it's there instantaneously. You know what I'm saying? And then they stream it from the server that way. So you get X amount of space, you pick the games that you want. I mean, and I think the space is like 10 terabytes or it's something crazy like that. You know what I mean? Or 15 terabytes. With that being said, that's their way of doing it, and it works flawlessly. It makes the games have super high fidelity no matter where you're playing them from. Now that's on I'm testing this on the PC and on the tablet. Can you imagine on a phone where things are a little bit more condensed and you ain't got all those pixels that you got to worry about? You know what I'm saying? Like, how's it going to look there? So, just think about it. And again, it's an option. It's not to tell all, see all right now. Let's be honest. If Microsoft said, you know what, we're not supporting consoles anymore, or the traditional console, what do you think would happen? They would lose the shitload of consumers, and it would look bad for them. And they're here to make money, so they're not going to do it like that. You know what I mean? So, but any other thoughts on that, gentlemen?
I'm waiting for someone to say streaming is the next cool thing so people can move on and accept it.
Yeah. That's what they're waiting on. That's what everybody's waiting on. When Sony comes out and say, this is our upgraded streaming solution, this is what we're going as far as streaming, and it's cool, then everybody is going to be comfortable with it. Yep. And the only thing that the conversation is going to turn into is that Sony streaming solution is better than what Microsoft is offering. That's the only thing.
PlayStation Now was better than backwards compatibility at one point.
PlayStation Now is now better than XCloud. But that's what we're going to see. But Nithu's right. Nithu's hit that on the head. Soon Sony's release their plans for streaming, everybody is going to be cool with it.
We already know one individual that used the gif of dancing when he saw that PlayStation tablet shit.
Oh, my goodness. Crazy. All right, gentlemen, we're going to slide to the, I don't want to say more ominous, but, hey, sometimes we got to be taken off cloud nine sometime. What goes up must come down, right? So, not too long ago, right after E3, there were questions about Crackdown 3, right? And Phil came on stage, talked to different people, did some interviews, and he said, you know what? Crackdown 3, we're not talking about the cloud destructiveness and all this other stuff, and, we're pushing back to date. So then an official Xbox Twitter account came on and had announced that Crackdown was released in February 22nd of 2019. But then it was within a whole bunch of other games too. Days Gone, and more notably Anthem, and I think Metro Last Light is coming out. There's a bunch of games coming out that same day, right? Mm-hmm. So then you didn't hear any more. I'll say it like this: you really didn't hear too much else about it, being spoken of publicly. All right, more recently, somebody had noticed, and they quoted it as, "Did Microsoft stealthily push back Crackdown from the 22nd to the 28th of February?" And Aaron Greensberg came out afterwards and said, hold up, Chief, calm down. We never said that this game was going to come out on the 22nd. And then somebody said, well, hold on. You guys said your official Xbox. We don't know who the official we don't know who was running it. And if you go by what your boy Kid Smooth says, it was some minimum wage worker. So the janitor accidentally bumped the mop against the tweet button. And not that the 22nd came out. All right.
Wow.
Well, due to works of some of the more Xbox haters, and I got to give them credit, my homie Uptown Soul, they found a video. And I want to play the remnants of that video for you. That came from the almighty Phil Spencer himself. And Phil, I love you. I hope you're listening to this, but I love you, bro. But you know it is what it is. We got to, hey, look, man, we got to take, like Z said, we got to take the biggest knife out the drawer, bro. So I want y'all to listen to this, and y'all explain to me if anybody else but the minimum wage worker that hit the Twitter button thought that Crackdown was coming out on the 22nd. All right, here we go.
I didn't realize at the time we were going to pick a game that I think there's like 6 other games shipping that same day or something. But Days Gone is that day,
right.
And I don't know, like we're that day, and it seems like well, I think something's going to have to
There are
happen
only so many Tuesdays in this fiscal year, so
yeah, for us it's not the end of our fiscal
right. Well, yeah,
year.
right. Yeah.
But anyway, I'm playing the game. A lot of us are playing the game. The game is all there. It is really about building the best Crackdown game.
Does it still have the
Okay, so post up. This is why we really brought you here, okay? We didn't bring you here to talk about good Xbox news. We want to put you on the spot for this. No.
Well, put me on the spot, bro.
All right, so in light of Aaron Greensberg's tweet where he said nobody mentioned Crackdown was coming out on the 22nd. Per that audio that was during the Giant Bomb interview right after E3, Phil clearly said, hey, look, we're dropping the game on the day where 6 other games are coming out. And he clearly mentioned Crackdown. So Phil, even directly after E3, had publicly announced that the game was coming out on the 22nd. With that being said, we want to get your thoughts on, and then we'll both speak on it. Nethos and I will speak on it as well. Do you think the way that they handled this situation is good, idealistic, bad, or just not a big deal? For one, that's question one. How would you rate how they handled this? And 2, how do you weigh this against the good news that has come out for Microsoft?
To me, Crackdown is not a big deal. I said when they, and not only out in that interview, but a recent interview with Phil. I think it was on the last interview on Inside Xbox, if I'm not, in order to be correct, but I don't know, where he stated that Crackdown was release date was the 22nd, but they didn't know that all those other games was going to be announced on the same day until after the announcement. And he said, "Whoa!" So from there, once he said that, and he pretty much stated the same thing he stated at on their podcast as well. They're gonna have to look at switching some things, even moving it back. I always said that once we figured out those games was launching on the same day as Crackdown, that the date was gonna have to be moved, and I knew it was gonna be moved because what you got, Sony dropping, you got EA dropping one of its biggest titles that everybody is expecting, so it's not gonna go too far. I don't consider this a delay or anything. I just think it's going to get pushed back a couple days or something like that, which it needs to. It needs as much room to try to live and breathe on its own to give it the best chance as being successful as possible. And releasing on the 22nd, it's not doing that. Now, how they handle it, Greenberg shouldn't have responded. He should have just let people think what they want to think, or however, or if you're going to respond, just owned up to it. Just say, hey, look, we had, our intentions was to release on the 22nd, given to that a lot of games has been announced for that date at the same time. We felt this needed to push it back just so to provide the best success for it. It's nothing wrong in saying that, but coming out just outright lying, that's a bad look.
Yeah.
People think y'all liars now anyway.
Yeah.
You got people out here with Phil Spencer pictures with Pinocchio nose added.
Oh, shit.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? But I just think it needed to, and for people who think I'm damage controlling, I've always said that once we figured out the other titles that was leasing on that day, that Crackdown was going to get pushed back, and
Everyone
it needed to get pushed back.
Yeah.
You can't drop on the same day as Days Gone and Anthem.
Yeah. Yeah. That's suicide. Suicide.
I more or less have the same, ideals as post up there. At the end of the day, I don't give a shit about Crackdown. Thank God for the Master Chief for making Xbox Game Pass a real thing. Because Crackdown 3, I'm not going to waste my money on it. But if it's in Game Pass, cool, I'll try it out. And delaying it by a week, that's not a big deal for any game. I don't care what game it is. It's literally a week. You'll live. What is a big deal, though, is the fact that Aaron Greenberg went out and lied and furthered himself more into the lie and said we don't know who posted that out there and whatever. It's just come out. Even if it was a mistake, just admit it. The release date is wrong. We are delaying the game by a week of what you originally thought it was going to come out. That's all you had to do. You made yourself look bad by doing that. That's never cool for any corporation. That could be Sony doing that. That could be Nintendo doing that. That could be Rockstar with Red Dead 2 doing that. I don't care. Don't lie about it. Just admit the truth, and you always come out. You just look unprofessional, and it looks bad. Does this negative news really affect all the great news coming out? Not really. It's pretty minute. It's a side podcast subject. That's the reality. But this thing has bigger implications. I don't want them to be out here and lying. And it's never good when you make your fan base look dumb, and then the fan base has to combat you with screenshots and make you look fucking dumb for saying that shit.
They ain't gonna have the Xbox channel delete the tweet.
I know.
They went into that website, put that link in there.
Hey, post up.
I was rolling.
They called that minimum wage worker back. They called his ass back.
Yo,
again, Chief.
I didn't even know you could do that. Dude, copy that link. Let me show y'all what to do. He went to that website. Hey, yo. I was rolling. I say, this nigga brought up a deleted tweet. Yes. I didn't even know you could do that. I had to zoom in to figure out what website he was using.
Big ups to Uptown. Me and Uptown been battling back and forth. It's been deep, but I had to call a truce on that one. Uptown was like, "Oh, shame on you, Phil. All you got to do is go into this website and hit this parameter, do this." I said, "Oh shit, I'm gonna show you how you do that, bro." Oh man, I waved the white flag to Uptown for that day, man. Oh goodness,
when I seen that, I was rolling. I say, this man say, "Hold on, Aaron Greenberg, you ain't the way so."
It ain't safe for y'all out here, Microsoft. It ain't safe. Uptown out here, he ain't playing, man.
He say, "Let me show you."
To look unprofessional as hell.
He say, "Let me show you how to do this, son." Oh man! I say, no, he didn't. He put that link in there. The little calendars came across. I say, what is he doing? He went and clicked on that date. The whole tweet popped up. I say, Lord have mercy.
All you have to do is go to this website that's in Germany at this time. I was like, oh shit, show me how to do that.
Yo, that was cold. That was cold-blooded.
Before I give my spiel, I'm going to put it out here in the chat. We are now, for those of you that are listening live, we have the capabilities at Triple B to take live phone calls. All right, so I'm putting it out there right now. You Skype us at Triple B Hotline at hotmail.com. We'll take live calls. Anybody that's interested, you know what I'm saying? Call in, give us your thoughts. We'll answer any questions for you. Just a different way for you to interact, and just make it more engaging. Because again, this is the podcast for you guys. Let me give my 2 cents on it. I don't, and again, and I put it in the chat again. It is Triple B Hotline, all one word, at hotmail.com. You can leave a live call if you're listening live, or you can leave a voicemail for the next show. You know what I'm saying? So Triple B Hotline. And you know what? For the voicemails, even after the show, we'll check them out for future podcasts probably and play them. You know what I'm saying? So more to come on that. With that being said, here's my take on it. Okay, first and foremost, Crackdown is not a big deal. The people across the street made Crackdown a big deal. I get there was the destructible environments. I get people thought those were dope, but we saw destructible environments in Red Faction. I wasn't jumping out, and that was like what 2001, 2002. Okay, so I wasn't really hopping out of seat. I was like, oh, that's cool. They're gonna do it at a grander scale, but whatever. What made Crackdown a big talking point is when the other games got canceled, and then the people looked across the street were pointing their fingers at it like, aha, and they're not gonna tell you when Crackdown's coming out, aha, and we stepped right on that bear trap. As well as the other news that came out this week, positive for Xbox, this doesn't put a dent into it. What it does do, however, is it shows you a problem of what I've had with Microsoft under this new regime. All right. They're making a lot of right steps in the right direction now, particularly with Obsidian, and I like it. But something that could trip them up and trip them up bad is they got to get over this. I'm afraid of my own shadow syndrome. Look, why would you lie if you're canceling, if you're just pushing back the game a week? It would make sense. It would make sense. You're getting murdered, and then it would show you, it would actually work out in your favor if you spin it like this. Hey, Brother Postup and Brother Neethles and everybody out there, we're pushing this back a week. We really want you to play Crackdown. We really want you to see the value which is in Game Pass. We really want you to see that we're coming up with some top-notch exclusive content. We don't want this game to get drowned out in the other games that maybe have bigger recognition. So we're going to push it back a little bit to give it its own breathing room so you can see that quality that we're trying to give you. We're only pushing it back a week. I'm playing the game. Game looks fine. We're on course. We apologize for the delay, but we think it'll work out for you in the long run. End of story. Wipe your hands. Okay, XCloud is the greatest thing next to sliced bread. You know what I'm saying? You change the subject after that.
Yeah, you had the opportunity to reciprocate that. It's all about turning a negative into a positive. And that right there is exactly how they should have done in Moss. I'm calling you Moss and Mass.
It's all right.
Look, it's exactly how they should have done it. That was an opportunity to turn a negative into a positive and actually sell the game. Look, we really want you to play this. We really want this title to be successful. And the best way to do that is to kind of get it in a window where it can be out there on its own, even if it's just for a couple weeks, That's how they should have sold it. Instead of just lying about the whole thing, and then Buddy went in there and did 007 on them. Brother had the 007. Bro had the 007 internet, bro. He bro, I didn't even know you could do that. It's just so funny. It's just so funny though. But that's how it should have went. Crackdown is not a big title. We know the first Crackdown only was brought because of the Halo 3 beta. But when people actually played it, including myself, it was fun. Capturing all the orbs, leveling up, and then just going around the city and creating mayhem. It was actually fun. And doing that in co-op, 4-player co-op, with your whole squad going around doing that was super dope. And it came out to be a fun title. Crackdown 2 comes out and they mess it up. Yeah. They get away from what Crackdown, originally was. They get away from the formula. Yep. So now in 3, they have opportunity to capture that, but don't lie about it. It's not a Halo. It's not a Gears. It's not something that's going to impact us. Matter of fact, the game been pushed back and we ain't seen it in so long. A lot of people don't even really give a fuck about the title.
They don't care about Crackdown. And the problem for me though is when you lie like this. Oh, hold on. Somebody called and then they hung up. Alex Cornell, call back, bro. Call back. Somebody was calling and they hung up. Okay, we'll accept. Hold on. Hold on, Alex. Alex, you there, Alex? We have an Alex Cornell. Okay. So with that being said, until Alex come back, no live call. Yeah, live call, bro. Do it. Try it again, Alex. I'm not sure what happened. I'll call you. Let me call you. Let me start the voice call.
Bring it to that waiting music.
Alex. Okay, Alex Cornell's calling. Come on, Alex. What? Oh yeah, we're having technical difficulties.
Say what?
I'm sorry, Alex. We'll post it back up. We're having technical difficulties. My bad, bro. My bad. We'll work on that. I'll let you know as soon as it's back up, people. Here's the problem. With Aaron Greensberg doing that, it again shows that they're afraid of themselves. Look, if Sony can sit there and tell you at the first hit of crossplay, you know what? We're doing this to save the babies, you know, in honor of Wu-Tang. We saving the babies out here, all right? Then they tell you, okay, we're not saving the babies. We're doing this. We're not doing crossplay because we want to do this for our investors. Then they tell y'all, you know what? We're not doing crossplay because we don't want to we don't want gamers to suffer on these weaker platforms. Then 5 minutes later do crossplay. God damn it, Microsoft. You can sit there and say we pushing back Crackdown 6 days. Like, come on now. I get it that y'all don't want to sit there and be these big bad, you know, wolves like Donnie D. I get that you're trying to purge that whole mystique about yourselves. But come on, at some point in time, you got to you got to show some kahunas, okay? You got to show some ball. Like, look, we're confident. When you don't do that, you don't show that you have confidence in your product, that you got a line scheme like that and get caught by 00 Uptown. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop it. Stop it. Stop being afraid of your own shadow. And if I could give you advice in light of this good news, show that y'all have some confidence. Y'all don't show that y'all have confidence when y'all let the silly stuff go. All right, Alex said his Skype isn't working, and I'm getting an error message too. So, you know, we got some technical difficulties. But any other thoughts on that before we move on?
Nope.
Okay. Well, while we got you, Brother Post, if we can get you to talk a little bit, because we normally do this at the beginning of the show. Oh, 706 Gamer, what's up, bro? If we can get you to talk a little bit about why you came to Xbox, like what talk a little bit about your history with Xbox and what got you excited coming to Xbox, and the state of the Xbox brand right now. If you can give us your thoughts on that.
Who, me?
Yes, sir.
Oh. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. Hold on.
No, sorry,
my girl is being real disrespectful right now. On purpose. On purpose. Give me a sec. On purpose. Hold
on. Neethles, I know we've already talked about this. But in comparison to where we thought about Xbox that brought us here and where they're going now, what do you foresee to be the good parts of all this? The good parts of all this, this XCloud and all this other shit. How do you see this integrating? How do you see integrating this into your daily gaming life?
Well, I think about it like this, and I've said this on my videos. So I have my iPhone X, and you know, sometimes I do want to game on it, but I don't like mobile games. I don't like your Candy Crushes. I hate Fortnite. I don't like those type of games. And right now I'm running an emulation software on my phone. So I'm playing like the old, you know, like Pokemon games and shit, because I remember playing those on like a Game Boy or whatever. It's not the best thing, but hey, it's something that I could play while I'm in my break room or whatever. But if I have the option to play like a Halo on my phone, Halo 3, I could play Gears of War 4, I could play Forza Horizon 4, or any great multi-platform game, yeah, I'm gonna take it because I'd rather play those games than a bullshit Candy Crush. That's how I think of it. If I'm at my break at work, I'd rather play, you know, the prologue of Red Dead Redemption 2 instead of gaining a level and Fortnite or whatever.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. So basically, this makes mobile gaming viable to me. This makes me actually want to use my phone for gaming because the games that are there now, I consider really a joke. But if I can play those console quality games, well, you got me sold.
I'm going to take it a step further because, you know, I'm not about shit. So I always got to complicate things and make things worse. All right. So with that being said, I do appreciate this. I've already given my reasons why I think it would be dope for me to be able to whip out my phone and play, you know, while my wife is spending up all my money. With that being said, though, I'm playing devil's advocate because Z's not here, but so I'm gonna play Z for a little bit. If I'm one that is still like favorable towards a dedicated console, and I want to make sure that my company of choice still has themselves set up in a structure to where they're going to support third-party games with vigor on that third-party console. Wouldn't in reality, I know we laughed at this earlier, me included, but if you think about it, wouldn't Sony's method actually be the better method? Because, and here's why I say this, follow me now, and I'm starting some shit. Sony's method of having the portable tablet that allows you to play PSN Now or potentially, you know, your AAA game, but take it out of network, that still forces you to buy the console, still forces you to buy the dedicated hardware. And therefore, Sony is going to fight to make sure that there's third-party support for the console as well. Where on the other hand, Microsoft's technique is, hey, you're definitely going to buy this cloud platform service for our exclusive content, but for third-party content, you might not want our service because the other cloud-based services like Steam and Amazon and Google, their shit might be better. So because their shit might be better, you might not have third parties that support it that hard. And if they're not going to support it that hard online, then they might not support it that hard on the console. For post-up to catch you up, I'm gonna let Nethos answer first. I'm trying to play Z. I'm being Z, where Z might like the PlayStation model if the rumors are true, where they have a dedicated tablet or whatever or Vita, a dedicated Vita or tablet with that forces you to buy still the PlayStation 5 console in order for you to have a device that goes streaming. And I gave what the possible cons could be. Starting with Nethos, if you could tell me why that still isn't better than what Microsoft is doing.
No, because at the end of the day, I refuse to buy a Sony peripheral, a Sony specific branded item if I can just play all that shit on my phone that I currently have right now or my tablet that I currently have right now. Sony can't suddenly start selling you this device when people already have these billions of other devices already in their homes. Microsoft service will just automatically be a step up in that regard. Okay. Just because it's available everywhere.
I want to see right now that I think we've handled the technical difficulties. We're going to give this one more shot. I am putting for my homie Alex Cornell. I put it back out there. If you want to call, anybody want to give us a call, you know, that's fine. Even if I can't connect, you could still leave a voice message. The voice message system is up and running. Oh man, I'm not even D. You cutting up, bro. I want to read. I almost read your comment and it's going left. So post up. What are your thoughts, bro, on Sony's approach that forces you to get the PlayStation 5? Does that put Sony in a better position to get more third-party support and better third-party support on the console, something that somebody like Z would prefer? Or do you think that still Microsoft's method is the best?
I think Microsoft's method is the best. I don't knock Sony for putting themselves in a position where you're forced to use their platforms. But we're in a day and age where third party and these independent developers need to make money. And by Microsoft allowing you to access that software across any device, no matter what it is, you're not just locked to one specific peripheral. then I think that bodes well for the publishers and the developers.
Damn. Well, Z, you hear that? Shut up, Z.
Hey, you know what? Z is getting some money slid under for Matt Piscella or whatever because he's like, shit, this is about to make me obsolete.
No, that's true. And the only thing is that if Microsoft can somehow make now, that's true. Like these developers are going to want to make money across the board. My question is Microsoft going to have a mandate? Because here's what could possibly happen. Now, Z got a little bit like, here's what could possibly happen. Alex.
Well, hello?
Oh, can you hear us, bro?
What's going on, Alex?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
We can definitely hear you. Uh-oh. Can you hear us?
Huh. You gotta be kidding me.
Uh-oh. You can't hear us, Alex?
Hello?
Yep. Can you hear Alex? Can you hear us?
I can hear myself and I can hear typing.
I'm sorry, Alex. That's my bad, man.
I don't know what's going on. Okay.
Okay, Alex, can you hear us now? Alex. Can you hear us? I can hear myself.
I have taken over this podcast, guys. That's all there is to it.
Alex, but not the pen.
I'm hanging up so we can get back to the real guys talking on the podcast.
Okay. That's all right. No, you're good, Alex. Okay. We got technical difficulties. Well, I thought it was working. We're gonna work on this.
Yeah, we're gonna get it straight.
706 David said, this is an early access podcast. We beta testers.
Yeah, this is an Xbox. They did say it was better tested in the future.
The Real Master says with his I can't even think, his slanderous ass. He says most can't work a phone. He old as fuck. You know what, Mass? Did you get them court papers yet? Because I'm suing your punk ass for slander.
Yeah, Moss did just state he was gonna be Z for a second.
Yeah.
So
I cursed my damn self. Oh, sorry, Alex, man. I appreciate you, bro, for giving it a try, man. But we will have it together. We're gonna have to test this out a little bit more. Neethles. I blame Neethles, even though Neethles had nothing to do with it. It's not his fault at all. I'm gonna blame him. All right. So again, my point was, what if with all this XCloud is a little bit more successful than any of us anticipated? Let's just say if Microsoft, due to this XCloud service, has about, I want to say 100, they're on 100 billion devices, but they only, out of those 100 billion devices, no, I'm sorry, not 100 billion, shit. They're on 1 billion devices, but out of those billion devices, only 5 million of them are consoles. Going deep into this thing. Let's say going 5-6 years into this thing. That's what the numbers are. There's only 5 million consoles out there. All right. As a third-party developer, I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay, well, Microsoft claims they have this UWP and all this other stuff. So the soft copy version of my game ain't going to be an issue. But these mugs is going to want me to make discs too. I don't want to create no discs for the Xbox console if there's only 5 million saturation. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something to think about. I want to get you guys' thoughts on that. What if Microsoft is more successful on this than we even expect them to be? And again, there's 1 billion there's 1 billion devices that they're on, but only 5 million of them are consoles. How is that going to bode for a third-party developer?
Well, let's think about it, Moss. When I always talk about the gaming industry, we typically compare it to the movie industry. Even though they're very different industries, we always make those comparisons. Either way, let's take something like Netflix, where it's all streaming. Let's take something like Amazon, where it's all streaming. Even though all those movies and TV shows, you just watch it streaming primarily, what do all those TV and movies have? They still, every time, have a Blu-ray set. They still every time have a DVD set eventually. And you still sell DVD players and Blu-ray players, believe it or not, even though nobody's using them shits. At the end of the day, I think these physical devices and these physical means will always be there. You will always have games on a disc. You'll always have a console, at least until we're old and we're dead. But at the end of the day, these devices, these things will always be available. So I don't see the fear of them going away, because the streaming stuff, let's admit it, while it's really cool, it's an awesome prospect, it's going to have issues. There's going to be lag. There's going to be something. And my traditional console will always be my main way of playing my games. That will never stop.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that, because even with the 4K movie stream, you get a different quality when watching it from the disc than when it's streaming.
Yep.
Because you know you got to go through all the compression technology and all that stuff, so you lose quality until streaming can match a physical disc or physical buy. Then people will still continue to hold on to their physical CDs or whatever.
But what if I'm that third-party developer and Microsoft says, "Look, we're on 2.1." Well, I get your point. My question is, okay, I'm Capcom. Now, we just saw the financials for Capcom where, out of the 10 billion or whatever, 10 million units that they sold, 8.4 came from Sony. And the other 2 were split between Microsoft and Nintendo. All right. And that's not horrible for Microsoft, because Microsoft doesn't have an exclusive IP from Capcom, where Sony and Nintendo did. You know what I'm saying? Right. So that's not horrible.
I mean, those numbers are school. You had Street Fighter. You gave Street Fighter 5 exclusive. They said it'll never come to the Xbox. You know what I'm saying? Microsoft got to make man.
I know. It's caveated. It's heavily caveated. But let's just say in a world where everything was on an even playing field, all the same games were available on all the same systems. And let's just say if those numbers were to persist as far as hard copy is concerned.
Yeah.
If I'm Capcom, why would I even want to make a hard copy? What if Microsoft comes to me and says, "Look, we got a lot of access on with the billion people, but then if you distribute a game on our service, you're still going to have to make hard copies." And Capcom may look at Microsoft and say, "Well, why we got to do that? Y'all ain't got no saturation on the hard copy, chief." Y'all foresee that, or am I looking into this too deep?
I mean, when you think of games like Nier Automata and stuff that's already digital only, I could see some games maybe going to digital only, but as long as it's digital, it could be downloaded and you could play it natively. So that's the real option I'm looking for. Like, I don't even buy discs anymore. That I could see going the way of the dinosaur, but downloads and stuff, I don't see that going away anytime soon.
I mean, Hellblade was just digital, but they just announced physical copies.
Yeah, exactly.
Too. Yeah. I think it would have stayed digital, but since they're under Microsoft and they have the resources too, then I mean, it's only right that they make it physical so Microsoft can start getting some of that Hellblade money. That's the only reason why I think they would do it.
Absolutely. Ain't that crazy? And watch what they do. They're gonna treat them like old NWA CDs. They're gonna burn them in the streets. They're going, the PlayStation people, they're gonna buy the copy of Hellblade and burn it in the streets. You know what I'm saying? Protest.
All right, I didn't want to do this, but Spartan God, you gotta leave Halo Storm alone, man. He's had a long day. Just leave the motherfucker alone.
Whopper, he been flipping Whoppers all day. Whopper, you get a Whopper.
Halo's the homie.
You killing him in the chat.
Halo's the homie, man.
He is the homie.
He's just
Burger King homie.
What else can you expect? Halo's the homie.
Burger But no, that you to Burger King. We're gonna stop. I'm gonna let him live. I'm gonna let him live.
We gotta switch to our last topic. It's almost goddamn midnight. We gotta start closing the show now.
Yep. So for last topic, what we're gonna cover in our last topic? Do you have
Yeah, actually, I have one final question. I think this will be an interesting one. So, we know Postup said just earlier, Phil Spencer has a bag like he's never had before. He has one probably bigger than Donnie D. Pause. So, when you think about it, Why did Phil Spencer get all this money? Why did he suddenly get so much funding back in when we thought Microsoft was basically starting to cut off the Xbox brand, where Terry Myerson, the boogeyman, was killing off Xbox, and now he's gone. Phil Spencer got promotion and everything. We assumed it was because how Game Pass is. We assumed because Game Pass was going to take off, it was going to be the Netflix of gaming. But realistically, as Game Pass is right now, that service isn't killing it. Sure, some people might be subscribed to it, but I don't think it's a huge fucking number. I don't think it's like 10 million or anything. But do you guys think maybe he got all this additional funding because of the idea of XCloud streaming and all that, and the idea that people will get Game Pass and now start streaming it to other devices, thus making Game Pass available on billions of devices? Do you think that's why Phil Spencer got the promotion and got all this additional funding?
Phil almost lost his job too.
Mm-hmm.
Because Osmos is not a gaming division at Microsoft. Phil had to fight for that because the CEO that came in still doesn't know anything about gaming. But Phil had to do a great enough job to where he got not only his position, but the CEO is willing to invest fully into gaming. They see gaming as the same level as the other services in terms of Windows. And you notice that by the money that they gave Phil access to. Now, a lot of people like to harp on me about me talking about Terry Myerson and actually how he cut funding. And a lot of people like to bring up Scalebound is getting canceled. A lot more games that was never released or never announced got canceled. I mean, I'm talking about a whole lot of games. Did y'all just see the concept art for Cameo 2? Did y'all see that shit looked canceled? It was so many titles that I've heard from people in the know when we not on the shows and we be behind the scenes that said it was so many games that got canceled that people, luckily, they just heard about Scalebound. If they knew how many games got canceled, they would be even pissed. They might be done. They might have been done with Microsoft. That's how many games they said got canceled that we didn't know about. Yeah. But you see the difference, though. Once they move Xbox under Windows and device group, shit just start cutting off, man. I mean,
I noticed the change, especially just recently when they announced XCloud. Where did they announce it? Post up
at E3.
No. They did announce that initially. But when they did that whole video that just came out, where was that video available? On YouTube, but on what channel?
Oh,
it was on the Microsoft channel.
Blog. The blog. It was the blog,
but it wasn't the Xbox YouTube channel. It was
see, I didn't know that shit.
When I watched that YouTube video, I was like, wait a minute, this isn't Xbox. This is Microsoft. Wow. This is a big move. That confidence that they're putting it on their main channel and that's where it's available. They're like, and this is beyond Xbox. And with Satya Nadella getting into gaming, now understanding gaming war post up, we have to realize Microsoft's biggest moneymaker is Windows. And what is Windows getting its ass kicked by? It's getting its ass kicked by mobile software. It's getting its ass kicked by phones these days. People are buying less and less PCs. That's why gaming PCs are on the rise, because without PC gamers, PC sales would be like deadlining at this point. People are just buying the new iPhone. They're buying the new Samsung, and that's how they're using their computers. They're not buying traditional PC hardware anymore.
Yeah.
Let me say this in regards to Satya Nadella. One thing that I think we can all agree on is that when Satya first came on the scene, like Post Up said, he did not have that much familiarity with gaming. And I think what we got to understand is that everybody that's in the tech world, I've had to learn this firsthand. Everybody that's in the tech world isn't automatically a gamer. There are some people out there in the tech world that hate gamers and hate gaming because they think it's a waste of intelligence to code for a game, a virtual toy, opposed to using it to do SQL servers and all this other stuff. That's just their mindset. I'm not saying I agree with it. Again, it's just me reporting a tornado, not loving it, but reporting it. With that being said, Satya Nadella did not have a big affinity for gaming. I believe what PostUp said was true. Satya went to every department and said, "Show me why you should exist." He did that. It's well documented, and it really threw the whole company sideways. Go ahead, PostUp. Were you gonna say something?
No, you're right. I went, and I got this from you, Moss, when you explained this the first time. I went and did my research and read on this. It was people, not only board members, it was board members, it was people at Microsoft that didn't want Xbox there. They felt it was a waste. They felt it wasn't impact. They just wanted to focus on Windows. Even a lot of investment companies that invest in Microsoft didn't want Xbox there. This is well documented. So when them rumors came up that Microsoft was selling off Xbox, that's because it was some shareholders that wanted the Xbox to be sold off.
Yep.
But in this case, Phil he did a big presentation for the CEO and the rest of the company. And I guess it was enough when he showed them numbers and how much they was making. But now reading the CEO latest interviews and stuff like that, Microsoft as a whole is investing in Xbox like never before. It's not just this is just an Xbox thing. Xbox is a company-wide thing now. It has just as much importance as Windows now, which is a good thing.
And they're at the big boys table. I mean, he's at the big boys table. And Satya, look, and if you think Satya just likes promoting people, no. Satya is one of those. Since Satya has been in charge of Microsoft, love it or hate it, he's taken that stock price and he's raised it, I think, 230%. I mean, that's phenomenal. And Satya is not going anywhere. So what Satya also mandated to everybody is he said, look, what you need to do is make cloud services as part of what we're doing. We're getting out of just giving you software. We're becoming a services company.
Yes.
That's what Satya's been he's been very transparent on that front. It's just people want to be in their fanboy silos and only look at everything with blinders. But Satya has said that. And then once Phil was able to help come to fruition as a services-based platform, which is Game Pass, and that was seen as successful, Satya said, that a boy. Come on over to the table.
And then when he said, well, let's put the shit on XCloud, that was over.
Come on.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the company, a lot of companies are becoming service-based. I made the example, I don't know if y'all are familiar with DigiDesign, which is a company that creates DAWs, a digital audio workstation, software for you to record. It's one of the main softwares that's used in the recording industry to this day. A couple years ago, when you brought Pro Tools, you got it with a disc. Now, you can have the opportunity of purchasing a physical copy, but the first three options are subscription based.
Yeah,
meaning that you download the software, you can either pay monthly or you can pay once a year. And you get access to the software, all the plugins. It comes with an iLock to this little security feature where you plug a USB port, so that's the only way you can use the software. But now that's moved to the cloud. They didn't put iLock in the cloud. Now we can send recording sessions over the internet, or we can record over the internet. So every company is moving to a cloud-based structure and becoming a service-based. That's where the money is. That's where the money is. You know, I was just paying for a subscription for plugins that cost $300, $400, $500 per plugin. Literally, when audio plugins are super expensive, you're looking to pay $200, $300, $400, $500 per plugin. But now they got subscription based where you can pay a monthly fee and you can get access to all those plugins as long as you keep paying per month. So this is everywhere. Look how fast movies are going digital now or coming to DVDs now. Back in the 90s, once a movie hit the show, we had to wait like a year or so before that movie even came to DVD. It looked like Black Panther came out, and a couple months later, it was it was accessible. You was able to watch it digitally. Like pretty soon, the movie theater is going to be at your home, where a movie come out and you're going to have access to it the same day the shows have access to it. That's just where we're coming to as a whole. Every industry is going digital and cloud, and Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo, all of them going to do it because they don't want to be left behind. They don't want to leave no money on the table.
They can't be left behind because the market is going to force them. People don't understand what happens when you become a Fortune 500. When you become a Fortune 500, you then have every little piece of your company associated to $1. And the purpose of you doing that is because you're trying to build capital. Building capital and building fundage is your number one priority. And your catalyst to do that, no, your method of doing that is getting investments. Your investors become more important than your customers. Your customers are just a catalyst. They're just a hook. They're just bait to those investors. So anybody that believes a Fortune 500 or I'm sorry, let me correct myself, a publicly traded company is in it just to because they're loving and they got a good heart, you're wrong. They're all in it for money. And once you become publicly traded and every section of your company is associated to $1, every section, the value goes down when your peers are doing better than you are in that same business sector. Your value goes down. I'm going to say this once. I'm going to say this again. I don't care how much money you make. If you made $1 billion on Monday, but on Tuesday, your stock price went from $25 to 25 cents. If it stays that way by Wednesday, you're closing your doors. Sony and Nintendo are going to be forced to follow this model if it's successful, period. And it's going to, somebody's going to be successful with it. You got 3 people trying it. You got Amazon, Google, and Microsoft trying it. All right. So if not all, one of those 3 is going to be successful. One of them is going to hit the sweet spot with this, period.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people just don't like this because you're moving out of your shell. You're moving into change, and we have to accept change at some point. Yeah. Gaming will evolve. Gaming will change. People make fun of VR because VR was the last craze, and people are going to make fun of streaming because streaming is now going to be the new craze. But this stuff will eventually come to fruition. Streaming or something will become the future of gaming, and we just have to accept it. And I want to leave you guys with this last thought. So we as console gamers, we love the console war. We talk shit or whatever. Sometimes people take it too far, I'll admit. But at the end of the day, it's like, your favorite sports team or whatever. And I know Z always uses this example, so I'm going to use it right here. He says he's afraid of, your physical device going away because he loves going to those midnight launches, grabbing that new console, unboxing it, and, having a new experience, right? We all love that. Who doesn't? But at the end of the day, while I love that, while MM2K loves that, while PostUp here loves that, and Kratos over here loves that, do you know who doesn't necessarily love that? The company you bought that console from. Yeah. Microsoft doesn't necessarily love that. Sony doesn't necessarily love that because while they like you having a new experience, while they like you having new hardware in your home, they hate having to sell the fucking hardware, having to do it every 5 to 8 years, having to make all this new software and having to go through the hurdles and praying that hardware will sell enough to start making bank off software. They hate going through this cycle every so often. So at the end of the day, with stuff like streaming and stuff being available forever and being forward compatible, backwards compatible, and all of that, this is the culmination of making gaming more efficient, making gaming more available, and growing the gaming industry that's been staying stagnant for a while now. If you want your $60 games, you're going to have to accept some changes. If you want to keep getting your new hardware and stuff, but you don't want to ever have that risk of your company going under or them abandoning that hardware, then you're going to have to accept some change because not everything can stay the same. It's the reality. Change will always come. And this streaming thing might be the answer to a lot of the problems that plague gaming today. Maybe the streaming thing will take off so Sony and Microsoft can stay in it for the long haul, so Nintendo can stay in it for the long haul, instead of them fighting to sell their hardware to get a tapped out audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I agree. Definitely.
Well, with that said, my friends, I think we're going to close out here. It was a wonderful show. I'm glad we had brother Postup. He was like anxious. He's like, hold on, man. Y'all gonna do another RIP Xbox podcast? I'm like, no, this is not a sham. You know, there's too much goddamn good news. You know, besides the whole Aaron Greensburg debacle, but it's good. I think this is a good.
I mean, you gotta have the good. You gotta have the good with the bad, man. I don't want it to be. I welcome the criticism too, because if we're gonna look at the good things they're doing, you also got to look at the things that they're not doing that we want them to do and speak about that as well, though. But I do thank you two good brothers for having me on.
Oh, no doubt. Nethos, you want to close out with your gaming, what you getting into the gaming week, man?
Yeah, right after this, I'm about to go try that blackout mode. My friend keeps texting me, "Are you gonna be on yet? Are you gonna be on yet?" And I'm like, "I'm on my way."
That fire, bro? Is that fire?
I haven't tried blackout yet, but everyone's saying it's fire. It's like PUBG, but actually at 60 frames per second on the console. So, you know, I want to go ahead and try that out. And, you know, before I leave, I want to ask you, the audience, a quick question, because me and MM2K have been going back about this. We made the acronym XBR podcast, but we don't know what the fuck that actually stood for. We just thought it sounded cool. And at first, my idea was Xbox. That's the reality. No, Literally, I get it.
Hold on, mute his mic. You don't put the podcast out there like that. You could have told me that behind the scenes, man.
No. It's a genuine question for the audience.
I'm looking at the XBR and I was wondering, like, I wonder what that means. And this nigga got on the show and say, we named it that, but we don't know what it means.
What the hell it means?
I get in this hangout with MM2K and he's like, "Hey bro, what about this XBR?" Like, "Oh, that sounds cool. I have no idea what it means, but we're gonna roll with that." But I did come up with a name. So my first name was give me Xbox. Was it Xbox? Shit. Broadcast Radio. That was the original name, but that didn't quite ring to it. And then I realized Xbox Broadband Radio. So do you guys like the idea of that Xbox Broadband Radio getting and the broadband, what Xbox brought to the console gaming, getting the broadband of the broadband bullies, and, you know, broadband through YouTube and all that? I think that's going to be the idea of the show moving forward. Tell me if you guys like that. And we're going to have more of these to come. Eventually, we're going to make this a Patreon exclusive.
We're going to try.
Get on Z about that, but that's some behind-the-scenes type stuff.
No, Z.
But, yeah, make sure you guys start calling on Skype. I swear we will get it to work eventually. Maybe we'll do a mooch and crap thing where we start recording these voicemails or whatever, and we play them. We can do at least that much, I'm sure.
I'm going to send out a tweet in about let me work on this tomorrow. It's only a flip of the switch, but no, live calls will be effective Monday. I mean, not live calls, voice calls. So you can leave a voice come Monday. Let me flip a couple of switches. You'll be able to leave a voicemail come Monday, and then what we'll do is we'll just randomly go through it because it could be in relation to any Xbox podcast, and maybe we'll play them on air. You know what I'm saying? So
let me get this dude the attention he needs. Halo Storm talking about what's legendary is Postup faith in the flat Earth debacle. No, what's legendary is you actually work at the Burger King you tried to take Zeke to. That's legendary. We can close the show now.
End the shit now.
Not everybody. No. Hey, Postup, what's going to be what's in your gaming future, bro?
Right now I'm 61% done with Spider-Man.
Ooh, put me to shit.
That game's fire.
Yeah, it really didn't picked up. I didn't fought the Rhino, the Scorpion tail dude. Like and I had to fight both of them at the same time. Oh wow! And then I had the Electro dude.
That fight was much better.
Yeah, that fight, fighting him and the guy that was flying around and Vulture at the same time, like that was crazy.
That shit was good.
Yeah, it was good though, but I didn't know I was gonna have to fight both, and then you have to really dodge, and so it's epic. It's really picking up right now. The story is picking up.
By the end of the story, your mind's gonna be blown. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I'm really into it right now. And then, you got Uncharted and all those games. I still got God of War to play. I haven't touched God of War yet. I haven't even started it. Ooh. So, yeah.
Oh no, you. That's probably good. You're starting off with Spider-Man. Not nothing against Spider-Man at all. Nothing against the Spider-Man at all. But I'm saying I think the gameplay in God of War is godly. In a lot of ways.
I thought MM2K was like good thing started with Spider-Man because I could not be God of War and I will not be embarrassed by reading it before me.
Hey, you couldn't be God of War, Nethus. And then you was getting on me about me getting my ass whooping Spider-Man.
No. I beat God of War. MM2K.
Oh, I've got the motherfucker on release. I got it since release. Post up. I still can't.
He still hasn't beat it.
MM2K
is like, you better not beat that shit before me.
You better flip that joint on Purple Rain.
Hey, you better. Yo, I got 8 streams. They're like 2 hours long. Man, this game is because it's the RPG player in me. I like to go. God of War tricks you a lot. It'll have you go down this alternate path, and when you're an RPG game, you're like, "Oh, there's an alternate path. I'm going to get this special thing." It'll have you going miles and miles and miles for a gold coin and shit.
So you're trying to you're trying to move along in a game and pick up everything, every little nuance.
Exactly. And
so it would take you long. I mean, if that's how you play, then play your game, man. No matter how long it takes you to beat it, as long as you enjoy it and you beat it.
The best was when he DM'd us. He's like, "All right, I got to this point where I fought these like 2 sons of Thor or whatever, and like, oh yeah, you're about 3/4 of the way there." He's like, 3/4.
Fuck, man. And that's why who was that? Kim Masters. He was clowning me, and I had to get his ass in Bang Bang. But that's why he was like, "Man, how you got 60 hours in that game?" I just do. It's crazy. But Mr. Righteous Fish says if MM2K, if Post beat God of War before you, it's highly possible, brother. It's highly possible. All right. With that said, people. Oh well, what I'm going to get into is some more God of War, and I'm waiting for this Fallout beta to come. I might have to break my y'all might have to figure out a punishment for me.
One more thing.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Sorry for interrupting you.
No. Go ahead, man.
I played the Jump Force beta.
Oh yeah, I saw you on Twitter, man. Yeah.
Oh my God, this is the best looking anime fighter ever. You know that trailer that they initially announced the game with? It looks exactly like the trailer. It's like playing CGI, bro. Like, it's like, I'm talking about the way it moves when the fighters clash into each other. You can actually make that. Oh, man. And then the combat. Oh, man, Joe.
My son he's dying for me to buy him that game.
I will buy this game. I'm buying this game. I am buying it because like when you get into it, it's this big open lobby, and you have these different things you can walk up to. One where you got these NPCs, and you can either play the player versus CPU, or you can do a quick match online against somebody else. Then you got this other stand over to the left or the right where it got missions. But the missions are not, I don't know what the missions is going to be, but they're not in the beta. Okay. But the fighting and the online is smooth. I didn't have any glitches or any hitches or anything like that. My only problem is that the server shut down in the middle of a match, and I was pissed because the moves is fucking incredible. When Neth, I know since me and you are anime fanatics, you are going to love this freaking game. You're going to love it. I promise you.
I'm not a fanatic, but I
you dip into the anime too.
I'm in the anime too.
I've been watching it. Maz be watching it, but we
might. He watches the old shit.
Yeah, I watch a lot of old shit. I'm still waiting for Ninja Scroll to be remastered.
Cut the show. Cut the show. We're done.
He's keeping up with My Hero
all time.
He's keeping up with My Hero.
Yeah. This going to get you more than Dragon Ball Z Fighters. That was nice, but this joint right here. Is not. They got Gong on there from Hunter vs. Hunter. They got Rikia from Bleach. They got the lead character from Bleach on there. They got Goku, Vegeta, Freezer in the beta. They got what's the dude? Yuka show? You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, Yu Yu Hakusho?
Yeah, they got him on there. Like they got like some legendary fighters from like all cross different animes. But it's not all of them, but you get to play with enough of them. And when you see this shit, you're gonna be like, this is not running in real time like this. It looks that amazing. That amazing.
Hey yo, if they got my boy Zenpachi from Bleach, I don't know who the Bleach fans out there. They got Zenpachi out there. That'd be the shit. And Ichigo
Zenpachi the strongest.
Ichigo is on there. Ichigo. Okay. Naruto. I was fighting a dude yesterday. And he did his special move in Naruto, brought out the big fox. Naruto transformed into his golden form, and you got this big ass fox in the middle of New York, Central Square. Oh man, the shit just looks. Oh man, I wish Namco was giving out free keys for the PS4 and the Xbox version yesterday. They let out a lot of them. So if you're on Twitter, I'll just say watch their channel because they might release some more codes, but they released a lot of them yesterday for free.
Yeah. My son wants that game bad, and I'm gonna hop on that too. Yeah. With that being said, it's late, people.
Yep.
And this was a fire podcast. I really enjoyed it, and we thank me and Nethels. We thank Post Up, brother. Post Up, Triple B brethren coming out here.
Yes, sir.
We got to do this again. Xbox. Do y'all like Xbox broadband radio? You know, or what do y'all want it to be, man? You let us know. And then, like I said, come Monday, you'll be able to leave voicemails, and then I would suggest leave them for any Triple B podcasts, and we'll work on playing them, across the board. With that being said, you guys all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful gaming day. Peace.
Awesome.